everybody? Welcome in to our second episode here from NOKOMIS, Florida, our 111th episode overall. The first episode of the new year, 2024, is upon us. And see, we have our best view ever.
Yeah, I think that's our best view ever, and it's gonna be hard to top that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Very, very hard to top this.
I think that was the episode I was most excited about. I'll tell you.
Oh, absolutely, because bowl game season has wrapped up, except for one particular game that we will see here in a few days, and you know, we have been down here for the last week watching a whole lot of football, a whole lot of consequential football.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Nicholas Hill. This is Gustavo Tomazeli. Normally, I'm in Tennessee. He is in Brazil, but we have spent the last week here in NOKOMIS, Florida, in the surrounding area. On Monday, we, along with our dear friend Jason Wyrick, went to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, and, man, we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, definitely. We have a lot to talk about, but first I want to recognize at least my great sponsor of the month, Etmos Investimentos. They're a great partner of mine. Trust them. My family trusts them with the investments and all their financial future. If you want more information, go to their website. It's in etmosinvestimentos.com. I trust dearly with all my future, and their logo is you want to make your future planet. So with Etmos Investimentos, definitely they'll find a path for you. But I mean, I've been blessed to be here in the state of Florida, watching a whole lot of football, mostly on TV. But
we did get to see one in person.
We got in person.
We want to acknowledge, Jason and his family. We're thinking every day about you guys, and they had a tragedy occur last week, and obviously from Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports, he's
our honorary guest.
Yeah, effectively our third co-host. I think.
Yeah, basically honorary co-host.
Absolutely. So I just want to send our prayers to the Wyrick family.
Yeah.
At this time.
But before we go, we're gonna go a lot to American sports and football. Let's just quick go to Brazilian sports because we have some.
Yeah.
There's sports in Brazil because what I call the Brazilian version of March Madness started just yesterday. The Copa São Paulo of Futebol, Copa São Paulo de Futebol Juniores, or as is known as Little Cup.
Right.
The Copinha started yesterday throughout the whole state of São Paulo. I believe it's 128 clubs divided in groups of 4 teams each, and then there's going to be the playoffs. So that's the biggest, the biggest under 20 soccer tournament probably in the world. And for Brazil sports, that's, I say, March Madness version, because here March Madness, I believe that's the biggest in terms of duration and also playoffs and excitement for young athletes in terms of like college age. And that's the Copinha for Brazil.
Yeah, I think that, based on what you've told me, this is like a good way to get the Brazilian calendar off the ground. A good way to really get it.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm just kind of curious. You obviously know way more about these teams than I do, being from Sao Paulo. What teams do you expect to? What do you expect to?
I expect for Palmeiras the heavy favorite. They're back-to-back champions. Of course, they're going to be without their biggest young star, Hendrick, because he doesn't play with that anymore.
No, he's way beyond that.
He's way beyond that. He's going to be in Real Madrid in June.
I mean, like, if he was playing in this tournament, it would be like LeBron playing with high school.
Yeah. It's like if LeBron, in his second year in the NBA, is still in high school. Like, it doesn't make any sense. He is going to Real Madrid in June. His girlfriend's been loving their Madrid trip, that's for sure. But Palmeiras has a lot of young talent they developed throughout the years that this new leadership is going. So I think Palmeiras is going to be a heavy favorite. Corinthians, I mean, they're biggest champions. They're one of the biggest brands. So, of course, they are going to be definitely heavy favorites as well. And since we talk about Jason, I'm going to put him in just one. I'm definitely going to put Jason Wyrick in our pod. But, hey, Jason, how's it going?
Well, I'm very
headphones.
I'm very
Okay, let me
thankful
go
to
get my
be.
headphones. I'll be right back, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but let me just conclude, Jason, about the little cup, the Copa Sao Paulo, because I believe that's going to be big for Corinthians. I think Corinthians has to do really good because they are under new leadership, under new management, new president, and they're going to need to have young stars because they are in serious financial trouble. Corinthians' new president gave a press conference yesterday saying that the club is in deep financial trouble, $250 million in debt. They are trying to renew their roster, so they are going to need young talent, and that little cup is going to be very important for that. Of course, we have the biggest brands, Flamengo, Fluminense, Vasco, Botafogo, Santos. Santos also needs to do good in this as well because of they're going to second division. So I it's probably kind of important. So that's kind of like my wrap in terms of Brazilian sports. But now, Jason Warwick, how's it going?
I'm hanging in there. I'm happy to be back home. It was a very long travel day yesterday, as you guys know, and I'm sad to not be there on the porch with you guys right now. But I appreciate your understanding, and I'm very thankful to be back home. I've been better, but I certainly could be worse, and so I'm trying to keep it positive and trying to enjoy the time with my family and make sure that especially my mom and my grandma are doing okay.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, your thoughts and prayers for the entire Warwick family. You were awesome to be with you here at this time we had in Florida, and that was awesome. And we definitely are happy to have you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm very happy I was able to come, even if it was just.
Yeah, I mean, I second all of that, and it was amazing still getting to spend New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and it's just I'm glad we got the time that we have been able to spend. But I know one thing that I wanted to touch on before we even get into any of the games is 2024. We're in a new year. I like to do this at the beginning of every new year. What sporting events are you guys most excited for in this calendar year?
That's a great question, actually. That's a great question, actually, Nick. For me, of course, I'm gonna be a little weird, but it's the new fourth division of the state of Sao Paulo. For me, Rio Branco. It's a new tournament. Rio Branco's gonna play with better teams, more structure, less amateurism. So I'm excited about that. It's gonna start in 24 days. So that's for me in Brazil. I'm excited about because that's gonna be. I mean, also the Olympics. Especially soccer. Let's see if Brazil can do back-to-back wins because Brazil desperately need a big title in terms of their national team. And for me, that's both like the Summer Olympic soccer tournament and the Paulista fourth division.
How about you, Jason?
Well, the Olympics obviously is a great answer, but I'm going to actually go with the new format college football playoff. I'm looking forward to seeing 12 schools compete to win a national championship. I'm ready to see more than 4 teams go at it. I think we've been wanting to have some sort of knockout stage that was more than just a couple of teams for quite a while. And when you have these 12 teams, and you go into this playoff rather than having your 2 semifinals, you're going to see a couple of upsets. You're going to see some of the Alabamas of the world, some of the Michigans of the world, some of the Texases of the world, some of the Georgias of the world get knocked out in the first round. In the second round, you're going to see some of these underdog programs get some wins, and I think that's very, very fascinating to think about because we love March Madness, but we've been able to kind of predict who we think is going to be in the championship, or at least in the playoff, for the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's always going to be, it always seems like it's going to be Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, LSU, Oklahoma. Historically, those are like 6 of the programs that are in there pretty consistently. Michigan also. And
Michigan, I think, was more recently, but if you look at the track record, probably Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State were the most consistent ones. And I guess you can say Clemson, but they had such a downfall that I want to put in a category. I put the Alabama.
It used to be Clemson, and now it's Michigan.
Yeah, I think Michigan replaced Clemson. I think there's a fair.
Oh, easy.
The point remains,
easy.
though,
I mean,
you can pretty well tell who's going to be in it.
Go ahead, Jason.
The point remains, though, you can pretty well tell who is going to be in it at the beginning of the year. You can usually have a pretty good educated guess. And I think this 12-team playoff is going to introduce, I think it's going to introduce a whole lot more excitement into the college football postseason. And the college football season is the best season, the best regular season in college sports. But I think this is going to take it to a new level.
And I think college football beyond just the playoff next year. I'm very interested to see what this new college football looks like. We have not just the college football playoff, but we have Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. We have 4 West Coast schools going to the Pac-12. College football, as we know it, is radically going to change. When the Pac-12
like January 8th is going to be the death of one college football and the rebirth of a new one.
Yeah, and will that be for the positive? Will that be for the negative? We're going to have to wait and find out. I think we're going to have better quality matchups throughout the season.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's going to come at the cost of something. And we are venturing into the unknown. It's like exploring Mars, like exploring an
unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
Or a brave new world of college football.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you guys. That's fair. I didn't thought about it. It's just I thought about like more, since we're still not end the 2023 season. That's why I didn't thought about it. But yeah, I think college football new playoff format, that's going to be probably the biggest, I think, excitement for American fans coming 2024. I guess new tournaments, this new 4th division state of São Paulo, this new college football. That's what we're most excited about.
Absolutely. It's all new. Obviously, Olympics, as you mentioned, will be the biggest international event.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see it just from a political standpoint. Because I think, obviously this year could be kind of chaotic, I think, for multiple reasons in multiple countries. And
I mean, since we talk about politics, one thing I'm worried about, of course, I'm going to go a little bit on the field and going to go more off the field, is that my biggest concern is the Israeli group, the Israeli athletes. Because if you think about it, they suffer a really big traumatic event in the Olympics in 1972 in Germany. So I'll be very, very concerned about that because there's a precedent.
Yeah, and that was in the wake of a couple of wars as well. I believe the 6-Day War was in 1971.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. So literally in the aftermath of that as well.
Yeah, so that's that. I think that's my biggest in terms of kind of off the field that involves sports kind of thing that's going to be in 24. I don't know if you agree with us, Jason.
Yeah, I think the political implications of the Olympics are never understated, but with the way that the world is going right now, there's a lot of conflict going on in various places. You have the Israeli conflict, you have the Russian, Ukrainian conflict, you've got the Venezuelan conflict going on with Guyana. And then plus you have political instability in a lot of corners of the world, and you have a whole lot of places in the world that are having their elections and having uprisings, and political instability is nothing new. And then political implications from the Olympics are nothing new. But I think this is the most we have seen them kind of intertwine in a long time. There are more conflicts going on, more prominent conflicts going on with bigger countries than we have seen in quite a while. And with the Olympics coming around, it's going to be fascinating to see how, how the political implications of this are navigated.
And I think even the host nation, France, and the host city of Paris is also in a little bit of, I'll say, not turmoil, but kind of like, dealing with their own kind of issues with immigration and kind of like this ethnic conflict.
Well, I mean, I think too, like Paris is kind of like a microcosm of, some people see Paris as a bastion of diversity and a bastion of what the world can be. Then others look at it and they look at Paris in horror.
Yes.
And look at like the French national team in horror, and you can read the subtext there on what some like the Marine Le Pens of the world, who are anti-immigration.
Yeah.
And
but the violence that comes with some radical, like that bash all the good people that are there. But anyway, I think Paris is going to do a good job. I think it was a good hosting country. I mean, in 2028, it's going to be in US. I mean, I cannot wait for the 2-year span that Brazil went through 2014, 2016, that America's going to have in 2024, 2024, and 2026. I think that's going to be like really, really, like really cool.
Yeah, I just wonder too, because I know like it was a big deal when we hosted the Olympics in the 80s, and like we had the World Cup in 94 and 96. But I just wonder if the Olympics still have their stature in American culture, because I feel that the past couple of Olympics have not been as big. And I think the Winter Olympics being in China in 22 really hurts because because of just the political implications, the time zone difference.
Yeah,
can the people get back into it in Paris in 24?
I mean, in Brazil, to be honest, people care about when some athletes get medals, but soccer, we care. Like that's what I'm saying. For me, the Olympics is gonna be what the Brazil national team is gonna do, because that's their biggest sort. Because Copa America, I mean, it's good to win, but it's not important. Like the Olympics, that's where your youth is their best, because that's the under 23 tournament. That's the prominent show their youth. And Brazil has won back-to-back, but now it's different than before, because now Brazil is in transition that probably Hendrick is going to be the biggest star of Brazil in this Olympic. Yeah, Hendrick is such an important future of the Brazilian soccer that he might be the biggest star in Brazil in Olympics.
Well, there's certainly worse people that could be the biggest star for Brazil. Hendrick is a phenomenal talent, and I think he's going to lead the national team into great prominence.
Oh, yeah. He, like, people in Madrid are already excited. He went there, people in Madrid even, because he's going to Real Madrid in the middle of the year.
Yeah, and I think, too, like, if Brazil wants to win the 26th World Cup here in the Americas, it starts now. Yeah, it's kind of like the Citrus Bowl yesterday. If Tennessee wants to win down the road with Nico Imialava, it started yesterday.
Yeah.
And to transition, as you see, Gus has his Citrus Bowl shirt.
Historical one, because that's my natty.
Jason did not leave us a Cheez-It box because of a security guard.
Oh, my God. but
it all worked out, though. It all worked out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give him the time of day, but just know that we were held up just long enough that we were able to meet up with our dear friend Chloe. And so I'm very thankful for everything that happened and the timing that it happened.
Yeah, if we had the equipment right then and there, we could have done a full episode of Rock Solid Sports with past and present.
Yeah, that's true. That was the best thing, like in terms of the meaning of alumni and current Rock Solid Sports. That's kind of this podcast is a spin-off of what we did at Rock Solid Sports.
Exactly. This wouldn't exist without it. I think the first thing I want to ask when it comes to the bowl game, before we get into the actual game itself, just what was your impressions of the bowl? Because watching a bowl on a TV is one thing, but going to one is a completely different experience.
I want to start because that was my first bowl game ever. I lived in the United States, but never had a chance to go. I mean, I think we even talked about it when we went to the game. Like bowl games is kind of like what. It's like a glorified tourism game, which I mean is an excuse for people of in Tennessee and throughout the country, come to Orlando, travel, and then watch a football game. That's what I think is like bowl games is kind of is. But before I continue, Jason, if you want to let's share Jason's thoughts. about the bowl and the game as well. What went through your mind throughout the game? Like, I want to hear your thoughts because I imagine a lot of emotions came through your mind.
Oh, absolutely. It was quite emotional to be able to be there considering the circumstances. But as far as the game is concerned, I was primarily focused on the play of Nico Yamaliava. And, Nico Yamaliava is a true freshman, very highly touted. Everybody around the country wants to see, all right, how can Tennessee's number 8 take this offense to the next level? I have been downplaying Joe Milton for a while. I like Joe Milton, but I just never really believed in him like a lot of other people did. But I've been quite optimistic about Nico Yamaliava, and I think he showed this weekend why we should be very optimistic in him. And I think he showed poise. I think he showed the ability to make good throws. And the only problem I really had with him is the game was going too fast for him. And that's just because he's a true freshman. The game was moving a little fast for him, but he kind of settled in. He was able to make some good downfield throws. He went through his progressions a little too quickly at the beginning, was a little bit trigger happy with trying to run out of the pocket. But once he kind of settled in, he started to show that he's got some poise. He knows how to read a defense. He can make all of the throws. He's just got to get some first-team reps under his belt, which he will this entire offseason, and he's going to end up playing as the starter next year. And in my opinion, I think he's going to do very well. I think he's going to be a better quarterback in 2024 than Joe Milton was in 2023. Not that was exactly a high bar to pass, and that's no slight on Joe. He was good, but I think Nico Yamaliava's talent is far superior, and I think he's going to have an opportunity to far surpass what Joe Milton was able to do. And look, he's not going to be Hendon Hooker, but who is? He's going to be a good quarterback for the University of Tennessee, and I think the offense is in great hands moving forward into 2024. And frankly, I'm very excited to see what the Nico Yamaliava era of Tennessee football looks like.
Yeah, and when it comes to Nico's performance yesterday, we have to keep in mind that the offensive line that we have isn't great, right? Like, yes, we had a pretty good day on the ground. We had 256 yards rushing yesterday. But they also had 6 sacks. Now, you can say maybe 1 or 2 of those was on Nico for holding the ball too long. But I will also say that he was under duress some. And now Iowa has a fairly good defense, right? Statistically a great defense, but I think when you really look at Iowa, they weren't playing great competition. There's no good offenses in the Big Ten West.
But yeah, that's true. But Jason want to give his last thought, and he has to unfortunately leave us. But his last thought, Jason, and again, appreciate you hopping our pod.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt Nick. I agree with what Nick was saying. The Big Ten West is devoid.
I was just worried because you have a big day ahead of you. I just don't want to. You're a busy man.
Well, I appreciate it. Nick is right. The Big Ten West is devoid of all offense. But I'm very, very happy with what this Tennessee football team did in this bowl game. Any shutout is a big game, especially when it's against a ranked opponent, even if that ranked opponent doesn't move the football very well. It's still a testament to your defense, and I think that the Tennessee football program is in good hands, and I think Coach Josh Heupel is going to have this team rolling, and I think Nico Yamaliava has the ability to elevate this offense to new heights. But again, thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for allowing me to still be able to join this briefly this morning, even from Indiana. I'm sad I'm not out there on the porch with you guys, but the big thing this weekend was being able to celebrate the new year and attend the bowl game with you guys, and spending good times with good friends was exactly what I needed in a time of quite tumultuous emotions. And I'm very thankful for you guys, and I appreciate you guys understanding and still having me on for a few minutes this morning.
Of course, Jason Warwick. It's a true pleasure. Yeah,
you
made a difference coming here. You made a difference coming here. True difference.
Absolutely. You guys helped me to feel better as well, and I appreciate you. So with that being said, I'm going to head out. But thanks, everybody. I appreciate all of you that watch this show. I appreciate being able to be the honorary third co-host, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about everything else. And if I get a moment, I'll hop in the comments.
Absolutely, man. You guys take care. And yeah, once again, we were thinking about your family during this time, and will you?
Great to have Jason Warwick. So, so now about Nico, about we were saying, Iowa, of course, had ranked ahead of Tennessee and had a better record. But as you said, Big Ten West is way worse than SEC East.
Right. I mean, literally, Iowa heading into this game had only given up 4 rushing touchdowns the entire season, which, yes, is a very impressive for their defense. But, I mean, let's be real, though. Let's look at some of the teams they were playing. Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I mean, these teams don't have good offenses. And for Nico Iamaleava to come in and have 3 rushing touchdowns in his first game, I mean, man. I mean, and the touchdown runs too. I mean, they were pretty impressive. He showed some shiftiness, showed some agility. He's just as athletic, and honestly, not more athletic than Joe Milton. We didn't really get to see the big arm much yesterday because I think the receiving core really limited that, and plus Iowa's scheme limited that. Iowa was really playing to prevent big plays, which I think a lot of teams this year have done. Especially with Joe Milton's big arm, right? To really prevent, we really didn't have many deep shots throughout this season. And I think, the challenge for Josh Heupel and his offensive staff moving forward is to figure out how to get those explosive plays back. When we had Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt, we were going deep a lot. We were just absolutely lighting up teams, which we really didn't do this year. Now, I think, a lot of it is we didn't have Hendon Hooker or Jalen Hyatt. But at the same time, I think teams that we playing are getting more used to playing our tempo, which is why at times here I've talked about maybe we need some offensive philosophy adjustments. Not get away from the tempo, right?
We have a comment here, and I asked him to put on Facebook where he texted me that he said Wisconsin was the only good offense in the Big Ten West. My dear friend Luis Henrique Santos, he's a football coach in Brazil football, American football.
I mean, okay, Wisconsin's offense, maybe a league or two better. And I know they scored 31 yesterday, but they scored it against LSU, which has no defense. They're the Lincoln Riley USC of the SEC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not impressed with them scoring 31 against LSU. Even Iowa could score 10 points against LSU.
Whoa, you're diminishing.
Wow.
But other comments here, I see Nate Spar, my brother's wife brother. He said Coach Hype show off a lot of upcoming talent, very optimistic about the future. He said, I have been hurt before, but this felt different. Do you agree with that, Nick?
As I said, one game is too soon
to
make that determination, right? We're going to really know how good Nico is when we go to Oklahoma next year, when we go to Georgia, when we have Florida and Alabama back-to-back weeks. That's when we're going to know how good Nico Iamaleava actually is. That's
the test.
I mean, this was just get your feet wet. Yeah. Don't make any stupid mistakes. He didn't make any stupid
mistakes.
Confidence.
He has the confidence.
He only really made 2 mistakes yesterday that I really saw. And those were deep balls that he could have thrown to Squirrel White, but he didn't see him. But again, like Jason said, he's a true freshman, and the game has to slow down, and Iowa has a really good defensive scheme. So he took what the defense gave him, and he was never going to have 400 yards passing in this game. We didn't need to because Iowa wasn't going to let you throw for 400 yards yesterday. But as we saw, we didn't need that because Iowa couldn't counter us at all.
Oh.
And also,
the only time they kind of were a little bit aggressive was their first offensive drive. Then we intercepted, I guess, all their
and they really weren't that aggressive. They were gifted great field position because Jackson Ross shanked a punt.
Yeah.
So they were gifted that field position. They still couldn't do anything with it. And not just to make this the Nico show, Dylan Sampson as the RB1 was phenomenal. Had 133 yards rushing. Cam Seldon had 55 yards in the RB2. Our running back room is going to be great next year. I do think Dylan Sampson will have to improve in pass blocking. His pass blocking has a lot left to be desired, and that directly contributed to some of those sacks that Nico took yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason why Dylan hasn't been playing as much, even though he is, I think, honestly, the most dynamic runner on the team. He's not the most dependable in pass blocking situations. So I hope that he gets a lot better at that this offseason. In terms of receivers, Raymond Keaton had a bad day yesterday. Like, he had several drops. He kind of quit on that route that would have been a touchdown. Like, Nico had a perfect ball to the end zone that if he didn't quit on the route, that would have been a touchdown. But he did have a circus catch on the sideline. Squirrel wide, he only had 3 catches, but then he was open on some routes that Nico didn't see him. Of course, McCastle's, in his last game, he got a touchdown.
Yeah.
But I do think the receiving core is going to be new, because we learned last night Brew McCoy's coming back.
Yeah, that was a big news.
Huge. I mean, it's going to be huge to have a veteran receiver helping out your redshirt freshman quarterback. Of course, you have Squirrel back. And then we're bringing in Chris Brazell from Tulane. We have a 5-star Mike Matthews coming in. Unfortunately, we're not going to get Evan Stewart for Texas A&M, but it sounds like Tennessee is giving up on him rather than the other way around.
Ooh.
So, maybe they just saw something.
Maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe the Tennessee Tennessee football staff knows something that we don't.
Basically, Nico should have no shortage of weapons to work with as long as we have the offensive line. I think we do need to go out and get another offensive lineman or 2 from the portal. But as long as we can do that, as long as we can continue to develop depth at the offensive line, I think this offense should get closer to what 2022 looked like. Now, I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were in 22. I still think, we're going to have to see Nico in a full season.
I think the biggest test is going to be Oklahoma on the road. Like the first Big Test is going to be Oklahoma on the road.
And I think NC State will be a bit of a challenge,
It's going to be a challenge, but the test is, I don't think it's a challenge. I don't think it's going to Norman, Oklahoma, because NC State game is going to be not going to be a road game, even though the game is in Charlotte. The Tennessee crowd is going to show up, like they did here in Orlando. 43,000 people were in attendance. I bet 80% were Vol fans.
Yeah, Iowa did not show up.
Did not show up. Like, Iowa's offense and Iowa fans did not show up.
I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, like, Lucy Roden is probably the most vocal Iowa fan online was at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
In which she made the absolute correct decision there. She did not want to watch her Hawkeyes yesterday.
Who?
Lucy Roden, she's a person, I think she does stuff with Dan LeBatard.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and while we're on the topic, Iowa's offense. I was excited to watch Iowa's offense in person.
So give me some stats because of how terrible they were.
Okay, so Deacon Hill, their starting quarterback, 7 of 18 for 56 yards, 2 interceptions.
So they had a third of what Nico had.
Yeah.
Of yards.
Their backup was 2 of 7 for 4 yards. So they had 60 total yards passing. One of their receivers had 3 catches for 39 yards. Everyone else combined had, look at all these guys with
it
0
were
catches,
combined
0
what,
yards.
like 40 plus 13, 50,
60 yards.
60 yards. And how many punts they have?
7.
7 punts.
Now, we also had 7 punts. And Torrey Taylor, though, is one of the best punters, not the best punter in the nation.
Yeah.
So he's going to the NFL, but he was the only one on that side of the ball.
Of course, he's one of the good punters. He has to punt a lot, so he has a lot of practice.
Yeah, and their leading rusher, that backup quarterback that came in.
Oh.
Like, they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass it. The play calling was just extremely conservative. There was no imagination. The deepest ball they threw all day was like 10 yards.
Yeah, but that backup quarterback knows how to run. He gave a little bit of trouble. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Granted, down 35, that's probably against some.
But I want a shutout. I was scared. I wanted to have a shutout. And your friend was scared too of the over and under. Right?
Well, it wasn't my friend; it was Jason's friend.
Oh, that's true.
But the under did hit by just 1.5 points. What do you think Iowa needs to do to fix that offense? Because it's not that they need to even fix it; they just need to just revamp it. Yeah. They need to throw everything that they've done with Brian Ferentz away, and of course, they're getting rid of their OC, which is Kirk Ferentz's son. But my question is for Kirk Ferentz. He's been there for a long time. Yeah. He's done things a certain way. It's been ground and pound, defense. But I think Iowa in the new Big Ten, because remember, the Big Ten West is going away. And with all these teams coming from the West, literally the 2 national champion teams are Big Ten next year. Oregon's dynamic. USC is dynamic.
Even UCLA can give some trouble, with Chip
Iowa
Kelly.
in the new Big Ten is mid-tier at best. And if they don't fix that offense, they're going to plummet.
I'll tell you that. Iowa fans, I hope you guys enjoyed your trip to Indianapolis on the Big Ten Championship. You guys are not going to come back anytime soon.
I would agree with that. Unless they fix that offense. They need someone. They need a quarterback out of the portal. Yeah. They need someone that's going to go in and spread them out, because I think that style of offense they play isn't going to work.
I like what Laura Nelson said. He also is here in NOKOMIS, Florida. She said, straight talk, how terrible Iowa was. Like, offensive-wise, very. But defensive-wise...
I mean, I think their defense played as well as they
Yeah.
could, given the situation.
Yeah.
But you can tell they tired out by the end of the game.
Yeah.
So I don't blame that game on their defense. Offensively, they were just awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I think Deacon Hill is the worst starting quarterback I've ever seen in person. I mean, he is just terrible. The receivers couldn't catch. And just as I said, the play calling was awful. And I never felt scared that they were going to score. Even when they were in the red zone, I'm like, they're going to find a way to mess this up.
And they did. I think it was the only interception Tennessee got. It's wrong.
Like, I know at one point you turned to me and said, I'm not even watching their offense.
Yeah, I wasn't. Because it was on repeat. I knew every time. They're going to try to run, throw, incomplete, punt. I tried to run, incomplete, punt. Like, it was like repeat.
If I had to watch that every single week, I don't think I would have kept on watching.
Yeah.
I would have stopped watching. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, and the fact they went 10-2 with that, Phil Parker deserves to be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, or a defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, a defensive coordinator was someone that will actually give him offensive support.
Yeah, do you know who'd be good at it? Defensive coordinator at USC. If I'm Lincoln Riley, I keep calling and say, how much do you want?
Yes, and at USC, obviously, they went ahead and hired another DC. But when we were talking about Tim Banks potentially leaving to go to MTSU, that Phil Parker would have been my number one choice for DC.
Oh yeah, give him a call. What do you have to lose?
Like, how much are you making? How much would it take you to leave Iowa to come to Knoxville? Because I think his defense combined with Heupel's offense would be incredible.
Nate Bard said something that I agree. Like, we need to get a W in Oklahoma next season because that 2015 series, that 2015 game, I think it hurt a lot of Tennessee fans and set the program even back because that was the game of the Butch Jones era to kind of go forward.
I think that in the Florida game at 15, if Butch wins those games, he may still be here.
Yeah.
Like, he may have survived down 2017 if 2015 was a special year because I think if you beat Oklahoma, you probably beat Florida.
And he was close to beat Alabama too. 2015.
Remember, they also choked against Arkansas. Well, because I think the team lost a lot of confidence, which led to a couple of other losses
because of that Oklahoma game.
Yes, and also got to remember too, Heupel was a national championship winning quarterback at Oklahoma,
so he's gonna have a emotional comeback in Norman.
Yeah, and he was the OC there. He got fired as the OC there. Heupel, I'm very curious to see how Heupel coaches in that game.
Yeah,
because there is a chance I think he could be ultra aggressive there.
Yeah,
I mean, Heupel is aggressive as is, right? But I think he's going to be ultra aggressive in
his style. He wants to prove to Oklahoma, hey, you guys should not have fired me.
Absolutely, and I think for Brett Venables, yes, they beat Texas this year, but I think Oklahoma fans are really disappointed with the fact they lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State in the last Bedlam. And then they lost to Arizona in the bowl game after 6 turnovers.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of pressure on Venables next year to do really well. And obviously I don't think Heupel has any pressure from the fan base right now. At least no one rational should be calling saying there's any pressure on Heupel. I know this.
I mean, if somebody asks for a Heupel's head, I'll say, hey, you should go to a place where people, treat, mind because
you need therapy.
Yeah, because he's doing a terrific job.
I mean, we've won 20 games the last 2 years, which we, which Gus has running.
I'm just gonna pick up my.
Yeah, but I mean, Gus has, or rather, Heupel has won 20 games in the last 2 years. That's the most we've won in I think 20 years in a 2-year time span. So, yeah, well, this year felt a little disappointing. I'd say we would go 9-3.
Yeah,
I mean, we went 8-4, so we won one less game. And the disappointing thing was some of the blowouts we had on the road. That's the disappointment of losing.
I think the Florida game that was
losing big at Missouri. Now Missouri turned to be really good.
Yeah,
so I'm not as mad about that, but Florida especially. So we can't have any games like that moving forward. But overall, I'll give the season a B.
B. I think we probably was a B- before the bowl. Now with the bowl win, a B. And absolutely. I wanna
and shout out to we haven't really talked about the defense. James Pierce was an absolute monster yesterday, and I really think the defense overall, there's a lot of young talent there that should have been playing more this year that didn't.
Who was the guy who scored the touchdown?
That was James Pierce.
Yeah,
which normally is known for pressuring the quarterback getting sacks, but he dropped back in coverage and just the Deacon Hill, man. I don't know how he saw.
That was the most. Even though Nico had great running touchdowns, that touchdown was electric. The fans, I think, celebrated a lot of that.
Oh, absolutely. And plus, some of the other young guys like Turrentine was great. Tyler West, he had a sack and a half yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be a really good replacement for Tyler Barron. And I think the secondary looked great. T. Lander, number 22, like he was fantastic. Amari Thomas looked really good. We're gonna have some talent on the defensive side of the ball.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about. So we are ending season number 3 of Hypo, right?
Correct.
Season 3. What Tennessee was at the end of season 3 with Jerry Pruitt?
We were coming off a 30-7.
Was it 2-8?
Yeah,
because 2018, the 2018, 2019, 2020. So now we can compare Josh Heupel and Jerry Pruitt, and how abysmal those 2 eras are.
Right. And compared to some of the other coaches, right? Because year 3 of Jones was a 9-4 season in 2015.
Yeah.
So same record, but Butch had not had the electric 11-2 season the year before.
He had a lot of good recruits that he was doing really good with recruits. I think a little bit better than Heupel, but Jones recruiting wise.
Early on, now some of his last 2 recruiting classes were awful.
Yeah,
which set the stage for Pruitt's failure.
Yeah,
because I think Pruitt's failure is partially attributable to Butch.
Yeah,
but Pruitt at the end of the day needed to. It was Pruitt's job to improve that, and he didn't. Enough. And
because Heupel inherited even worse of what Pruitt inherited.
But he came in too when the transfer portal started, and transfer portal has completely changed things for Tennessee.
Yeah, or for college football itself, for any new coach,
like Tennessee's comeback is partially attributable to the transfer portal. I think largely attributable to the transfer portal. So I think your Tennessee fans have a lot to be excited about. It's too early, I think, to really get into predictions for next year. We have to see how everyone else, what everyone else does, and we'll have to see what our final product looks like. When we get into the season. But I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for Nico being the full-time quarterback. And remember, with the 12-team playoff, you don't need to be perfect to make it. Yeah, you can lose a game. You can lose 2 games and make it. So I think that's maybe a little less pressure.
2022 Tennessee team would have definitely made it.
Oh yeah, we would have been hosting a game.
Yeah,
in Neyland.
Oh my God,
which would have been absolutely amazing
with that season. Oh my God, absolutely. It would have been people it would be 102,000 people inside Neyland, and probably outside would have been another 30,000.
Yeah,
trying to get
Knoxville
in.
Would have been just a madhouse. I would have had to be.
Oh my God, Knoxville would have been completely.
If we ever have a playoff game in Knoxville, I'm gonna have to be there whether I'm in the stadium or whether I'm outside of it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, as a personal moment for me, I want to thank the University of Tennessee, the Tennessee athletic departments, and just in general, because I felt it was a closure to me. Probably is going to be very unsure if I ever come back to the United States because, in Brazil, I'm working a lot. I have a lot of things going on in Brazil. I have working with Rio Branco. So I think it felt like a closure to me of my journey that started all the way in 2015 in the opener of the 2015 season in Nissan Stadium against Bowling Green. And I had magical years. I experienced the third Saturday of October in Tuscaloosa. Granted, I also experienced the fourth Saturday in Knoxville in 2020, which was weird in a way. I also got to see Tennessee win an amazing game in Atlanta against Georgia State in overtime. That was
Georgia Tech. We lost to Georgia State.
Yeah, Georgia State. I had credentials to that game, and I did not go. Maybe if I did, things would change.
Yeah,
but I covered that 2019 season and I covered 2 seasons as WTK reporter, the student radio station at the University of Tennessee that I was very honored to be part of. I covered 2 seasons. I felt like 2020 was my best product because I think we made a difference. Even though COVID put us a challenge, we used the challenges that COVID put it, and we make the really best out of it. We succeed every expectation I ever had,
Mm-hmm.
and that was special to me. Even road games, I felt I was there with the press conference. Shout out Jeremy Pruitt. I hope he is doing well, and I wish I could ask him if he still trusts the back then offensive coordinator to continue his staff. I wish you could ask him this question again. I really
Well,
wish.
I did see that. He might be in the running for a high school football job.
Yeah, I hope who was that OC at the time in 2020?
Jim Chaney.
I hope hope he's gonna hire Tim Chaney because apparently I did not see the game back then, and so he likes him very much. So
yeah, we never watched any of the games.
Yeah,
clearly. We've never watched the Tennessee.
Yeah,
football.
Pruitt, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I've never watched a Rainsville high school football game either.
Yeah,
now that I'm not lying about.
Yeah,
I have visited Rainsville though.
Yeah.
So shout out to DeKalb County, Alabama.
Yeah.
But I know obviously it means a lot to you. I saw how much it meant to you yesterday. I mean, you were the most intensely into the game I think of anyone in that stadium. It's like for me, like I live in Tennessee. I go to Tennessee games. And I wish we were in the playoffs, right? Like the Citrus Bowl is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
As a
like we were talking in September that I knew I was coming here. Like if Tennessee would have made it to Rose or Sugar Bowl, I would have spent any amount of money that I had to go to those games. I would have do anything that I could possibly do it to be there.
Because probably I wouldn't have come here. I probably just met you in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Los Angeles.
Hopefully New Orleans would be closer and cheaper because LA would have. Yeah, but anyway, I'll take it. That's what I say. Citrus Bowl is my national championship. I would always remember.
Steve Spurrier said you can't spell the Citrus Bowl without UT.
Yeah.
So,
but
hopefully in the future we've got bigger and better bowl games. But I know for you, this was a magical experience.
Yeah, because just wrapping up this kind of thing, because I felt like when I left I left Neyland Stadium at the spring game in 2021, which was at the time the best atmosphere they could, but it still was weird. Was still half empty. COVID. The weather was weird. Like it was weird. It was still weird, and I wanted to give a proper goodbye, and I felt like I finally could give a proper goodbye to all the memories that I had with the University of Tennessee Athletic Department, and not only Tennessee football, I mean Tennessee basketball, men's and women's, volleyball, softball, baseball. So I feel like I could finally feel like I closed this great run that I had, being not only a fan that I was yesterday, but also be able to cover with my Brazilian outlets back then, Jago and Sportsnet, and then WHK. And I appreciate Jason and definitely you, Nick, for being with me. When we did the vault, that was really special.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We'll get to go to Neyland Stadium one day. You will get back to Knoxville one day.
I don't know. I wish I was as confident as you are. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's gonna take a lot. One of these days I'm coming to Brazil. One of these days you're coming back to Tennessee. So we're gonna make this all work eventually. All right, well, let's get into some college football playoffs.
Oh, of course. And before we get there, Nate Spar said you definitely had an up and down time, probably better than my 2009-2014 student career. Oh, that was awful.
God, last home.
Oh my God, Derek Dooley and Bud Jones. Oh my God,
I remember that game too. I forget what his name was because that was when James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, but they ran it in. It was a 14-10 loss in Neyland to Vandy. Of course, I witnessed a 42-17 loss to Vandy at home in 2017. So, I mean, God, just embarrassing times. But I think
even the Music City Bowl with that weird loss. I mean,
North Carolina.
Yeah.
The 12 men on the field. And then we couldn't make a bowl game to save our lives for 3 years afterwards. So, yeah, he only saw one bowl game. I only saw one bowl game in 4 years. So, a lot of people talk about bowl games don't mean anything. To me, they do.
Yeah, and to me, Citrus Bowl 2024 will always mean a lot to me. So I was emotional yesterday, and I'll always cherish those moments. as well. Nate Spar said, "Oh God, the Music City Bowl." I think sorry, Nate, to bring up bad memories.
Well, hey, I went to the 21-man Music City Bowl, which I still don't acknowledge the result of.
We, as the two countries to America's all sports podcast, do not acknowledge the
final result of the 2021 Music City Bowl. Tennessee won 54-51.
Yeah,
because it was a touchdown. Jabari Small scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
It was not. I don't know what the refs. It was rigged.
Okay.
It was so rigged. But,
oh my God.
Yeah.
But I think future of Tennessee football is prominent, and excited to see what's going to be in the spring game in March.
April. They're normally in April.
April.
But yeah, I think in the new era with a 12-team playoff, things will change significantly.
Do you think spring games? Do you think they're still going to exist?
I think they will. Honestly, I think we should be doing our FCS scrimmages, our games at FCS schools in the spring.
Yeah,
I think we should do it then. Like instead of wasting a regular season game against like Chattanooga or whatever.
Yeah,
because that'll be our first game is against the Mocs, and obviously I love the Mocs, but like, do those games in the spring. Yeah, actually have a real football game in the spring.
Yeah, I think that would have been good. I think it would have been good. I think it would be, or do you know what probably teams could do? Like, invite an FCS team from your state and, make a game, state trophy. I call state trophy.
Yeah, and like if you lose, it doesn't really hurt you.
Yeah, it won't hurt you. I mean, maybe you get some memes, but that's the worst. Yeah. But make like Alabama inviting UAB or Auburn inviting another like FCS,
like Troy, South Alabama.
Yeah, like I think that's hopefully I wish you could give that idea. Like invite your like not big football program in your state and make this like State of Alabama football day. Like,
yeah, of course, some states are going to feel insulted, like West Virginia and Marshall, because Marshall thinks West Virginia's a rival, WVU.
Oh, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that'd be a cool one.
For example, like Florida State could invite, like Florida could be like USF.
Well, if the USF might be too big of a program for that. Let's do like, I don't know, Florida A&M.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the college football playoff, because while we
the
care
games
about
that
the ball,
matter for the title.
Yeah, these are the playoffs, and holy cow, yesterday may have been the most electric college football semifinals in history. Now, granted, last year's were really good with Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State, Georgia.
Oh, that Ohio State Georgia ending was something out of a movie script.
Yeah, but speaking of a movie script, that Rose Bowl. I mean, we talked about it for a month leading into this. Harbaugh versus Saban, the biggest ego coaching matchup maybe ever.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest coaching matchup in the history of postseason college football.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Saban versus Urban, though, with Allen, Ohio State.
But Jim have the success in the NFL.
Yeah, and I guess Saban didn't.
Yeah.
And, Harbaugh's still looking for his first national title.
Yeah.
They want to be the Alabama of the North.
Yeah.
They want to be the – so – and, we saw the reaction when we found out Bama got in over Florida State. Michigan looked like, oh, my God, we're going to have to play a real game. Because we're going to talk about Florida State here in a little bit. They decided not to play this weekend. But, oh, my gosh. And, of course, we watched this thing in the car, listened to it. It was just a titanic matchup of two teams with very smash-mouth attitudes.
That's what the committee wanted. That's what the college football committee wanted, and they got it.
Because we watched the first part in that Brazilian restaurant in Orlando, which, by the way, if you're in Orlando, try out Camilla's. It's very good. But
hopefully, maybe they'll sponsor us someday.
Yeah, but, man, it was such a smash-mouth game.
Yeah.
Like, there were no pushers being put. You had to earn every yard, every point, and I'll be honest, led into this game, I had no faith in Michigan. I did not. I thought their schedule was a joke. I thought the Big Ten was a joke. I thought they played.
You thought they're going to fall apart like they had against TCU.
Yeah, they had played two good teams all year, Penn State and Ohio State. And Penn State, to me, frankly, wasn't that good. Ohio State, they weren't the Ohio State that we've become used to with the high-flying offenses. And I'm like, and obviously Iowa, as we saw, was a joke of a Big Ten championship opponent. So when going up against Alabama, a team that had gotten lucky time after time.
After time.
The thing about Nick Saban is you cannot let him live. because he should have been stomped out at the third Saturday in October. He should have been stomped out at Texas A&M. Should have been stomped out by the Heisman winner Jaden Daniels. Should have been stomped out when he had a 4th and 31 at Auburn. And he just kept on living. It's like a cockroach. You can't kill it.
Like, it's so funny comparing the regular season between those two coaches. Jen Harbaugh probably had the biggest challenge off the field and during practice because he couldn't coach on the field. Right. But I guess he did such a good practice coach that his players executed perfectly. So that's why they smoothed to the Big Ten, because he's such a good preparation coach that he didn't even need to be on the sideline. And I guess the amount of time they had, the team click. Alabama, on the other hand, I think that was the worst Alabama team that made it to the playoffs by far.
I mean, early on, I thought they were going to lose like 3 games.
Yeah, by far. I mean, good God, here in Tampa, like, I mean, USF fans that are mad they couldn't win against Bama.
Yeah, I'll say this. This was one of Saban's best coaching jobs.
Yeah. No. I'm praising Saban because he probably needs to work way more than the past because he had way less talent.
Right. I mean, the offensive line was a mess all season. And because Alabama in the SEC title game gave up no sacks, which was against Georgia, which was phenomenal. And when I really look at that Georgia game now, Georgia has to be sick to their stomach.
Yes, totally.
Because
Kirby Smart is going to be sleeping and waking up thinking about that game.
Because, like, Georgia, I still think might be the best team in the country.
Yeah. But they had one bad half. But you cannot give a bad half to Nick Saban.
Yeah. And really, I think it comes down just to bad play calling offensively. Because their defense, I still think, played a decent game.
But you cannot do that going against Nick Saban. You just can't. When you play against a Nick Saban coach team like this Alabama dynasty, you have to be consistent to good to great in all 4 quarters and even overtime.
Absolutely. And for Michigan, they found themselves down. They had some horrible special teams miscues in this game. A drop snap on a field goal, muffing a punt, giving an easy touchdown to Alabama.
Oh, my God. That was so, my God.
But, like, down 7, we typed on the car. I'm like, I told y'all, there's no way Michigan has taken this ball down the field. And they took the ball down the field on Alabama. And you have to give credit to J.J. McCarthy. You have to give credit to Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator. And you got to give credit especially to Blake Corum. Blake Corum was phenomenal. He might have been the best player on the field yesterday.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I knew he was good. But, again, in the Big Ten, I'm just like, when it comes to playing Alabama, I don't think it's going to be that much of a factor.
I play a person in that stadium in California that was probably the most happy about the outcome of the game was the return guy of Michigan. What is his name?
God.
Well, the return guy of Michigan that blew that play.
Yeah.
He was probably relieved because imagine if Michigan would have lost, he probably would have been the biggest villain in the state of Michigan.
Yeah.
But in the state of Ohio and in Columbus, you would be a hero.
Absolutely. But then, they take it down the field, they score, they go to, and then Bama goes to OT. Michigan then scores again. Blake Corum's overtime touchdown run was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, he had a great touchdown run. But then the ending for Alabama.
Too predictable.
Yeah, and I think what's disturbing is with all the talent, why are they having snap issues? You cannot let your season end on a bad snap.
And Nick and Saban is so vocal about those tiny points that make a difference throughout the game. Like, he's so vocal. Like, we have to work on those reps. Like, he's such a detailed coach that he probably in the offseason is gonna make a lot of snaps. He's gonna repeat snap after snap after snap. I probably know. But Nate Spar is commenting here. He said, "Love seeing Alabama lose. Here's to Michigan winning it. Also, he thinks Michigan is gonna win the Natty. Ratings might not be great because of Washington, but I love to see the Pac-12 team in the last year of the conference has basically decided, like the conference is dying, but the team made it." And
also, it's Washington, Seattle though. Like, I'm sure Seattle will be very attuned to this game.
Yeah, probably like the Seahawks fans are gonna even help somehow.
Oh, absolutely.
And he's asking, is this the first year a Pac-12 team has been in a title game since Oregon and Auburn, or am I crazy? Yeah.
Oregon, Ohio State in 2014.
Oh, Oregon, Ohio State.
Yeah, Oregon, Ohio State was the last time a Pac-12 team was in.
Yeah, because Washington made it to the semis in 2016, but they were
Correct.
booted out of the game.
Yeah.
I remember that was not even competitive.
Yeah, it was 24-7 loss for the
Yeah.
Huskies. Yeah, but back to Michigan and Alabama. Michigan. It just felt like what they finally have been working for.
Yes.
This was the validation to win in the Rose Bowl.
It's like all their hard work paid off.
And I'll just say this: that is college football.
Yes.
In the Rose Bowl with a 50-50 stadium. I mean, just watching that game on TV, just the goosebumps. If Tennessee ever played a game like that, I don't know how I would contain myself throughout the entire game.
Yes, that would be something for I cannot even imagine.
Maybe Nico can take us.
Yeah. But I think the critical point in that game is that Jim Harbaugh, I think, is the best coach in the world right now in all sports if he wins the Natty. Because think about all the adversities he has to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Punishment from Big Ten, punishment from NCAA, have not be able to coach in the majority of the regular season, being chip on their shoulder, losing back-to-back semis after having a really bad year in 2020. And that moment, that play when they stop Alabama in the fourth and goal in the overtime, that was like Jim Harbaugh probably thinking, finally, I show I'm capable despite all the adversities that I mentioned.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to your defensive performance, they held no Alabama receiver in this game got over 50 yards, which is astonishing when you look at Alabama. All the receivers they've had over the years. They literally had a Heisman receiver a few years ago in Devontae Smith. They had Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
They had Jerry Jeudy. They had Jalen Waddle. And Bama just doesn't have any receivers like that right now.
No.
And running backs, too. No running back went over 100 yards. Now, McClellan averaged 6 yards a carry in this game, but 34 of those came on one.
Yeah, Milroe. Look how many Milroe yards had to be, like 112.
I mean, and no one else had over 4 carries in this game. It really just goes to show that the skill positions are just not there right now for Alabama.
It's probably Alabama is in a transition time. I mean, even before this year, last year, they did not make to the playoffs because, and probably just Saban now, I think, way more than the past is dependent on a talented quarterback. Because in the past, Saban won a lot of titles without a talented quarterback. Probably people today cannot even name the quarterbacks of that era. But the most recent titles that Nick Saban got were quarterback, like even Mac Jones is a talented quarterback. I mean, he's still in the NFL. Bryce Young is a starter as a rookie. Jalen Hurts, even though he left the program, is a starter for the Philadelphia Eagles and won titles, the SEC.
They got 2, of course.
Yeah. So, probably that talented in quarterback that Nick Saban got, probably when he was out of it, he couldn't transition. That's what I think.
Yeah. And it's hard to predict who's going to be a superstar.
Yeah. Like, probably when he recruited Monroe, he would have thought he was going to be a talent. I don't say he's bad.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Milroe, he was talking about before the game how Bill O'Brien claimed that he wasn't a quarterback and told him that he sucked.
Oh my God!
And
Bill O'Brien.
And of course, Bill O'Brien, is just an absolute abject failure.
Where he's in right now?
Patriots.
Of course he is. Of course.
Worst offense in the league.
Joe Milroe should get a call. Like, are you a OC? I mean, I'm watching your team and you're not doing that well.
No. Yeah, so Bill O'Brien is probably not going to be an OC after this season, I would imagine.
I don't know. Like, maybe Bill Belichick was like, okay, you I don't care about the offense, so you keep there and I'll work the defense.
Yeah, if New England decides to keep them.
But back to the game, I mean, Joe Milroe, he's really good with his feet. He runs really well.
He does, but still, you're going to need to be able to throw, especially against a team like Michigan.
Yeah.
And, And this is just a meme with like Shaquille O'Neal saying, I wasn't familiar with your game. Michigan's defense is real. They are legit. And they are right there with Georgia as the best unit in the league. And Georgia-Michigan would be an absolute war.
Yeah.
Like this game would. Like, I don't think Georgia would just curb stomp Michigan. I would still pick Georgia to win, but it would be a very tight game.
And also, probably Jim Harbaugh wanted Georgia to revenge that embarrassing loss in 2021.
Yeah, but still Alabama. I mean, Alabama and Georgia are two sides of the same coin to an extent.
Yeah.
So he got his revenge in the SEC, and he'll go into the national title game and take on the Washington Huskies.
Wow, what a thriller that was.
Well, now this is another one that surprised me because I thought Texas would win this one by double digits as well. So talk about the Big Ten. Of course, I know that Washington is a Pac-12 team.
Both teams are leaving. Like, unlike the Rose Bowl, which both teams are going to stay probably for a long time, maybe forever in their conferences, the other game were teams that are leaving the conferences. So we joked, is this a Pac-12 versus Big 12 or SEC versus Big 10?
Yeah, because next year it is going to be SEC versus Big 10. Technically, this game could happen at the Citrus Bowl next year.
Yeah.
For all we know.
Yeah.
Probably will not, but man.
Yeah, because I think those programs are to stay. I don't think they're going to fall apart.
Yeah, but I think this game, obviously we knew it would probably be a more offensive game, and it was. Michael Penix Jr.
Oh, my God. He is an absolute talent. He's an absolute generational talent.
He is. I'm curious how this game will affect his draft stock.
Yeah.
Because I think he has the tools. Now, granted, he's an older QB, so he isn't going to have as long.
He reminds me a lot of Joe Burrow, because remember, when Joe Burrow started that 2019 season, what team wanted him? Ask any GM if they would have picked Joe Burrow in that draft. They would have said none. And look how his stock draft got, I think, probably the uppest of all. And now Michael is probably going to have the same effect.
Yeah, and I think, too, when you look at the Washington passing attack, they have elite receivers. Rome Odunze, he's going to be a top 10 pick next year.
Oh, yeah.
He is a phenomenal receiver. Had 6 catches for 125 last night. Polk as well had 5 catches for 122. I mean, both of those two have been killing it all year. Westover is also a really good receiver for them. And rushing, too. I know Deontay Johnson only had 51 yards rushing, but I do think that he got some key first downs in that game as well. Texas got ripped apart defensively.
I mean, they tried to keep up their game. I think the first half it was a back and forth. Just especially in the third quarter, then Washington pull apart.
Yeah, I think Texas too. From an offensive standpoint, they should have tried to run the ball. Each running back only had 9 carries in this game. Baxter and Blue and Quinn Ewers ended up having 43 passing attempts.
Yeah.
I think Sark, from an offensive play calling perspective, panicked.
Yes.
When they got down and just went air raid.
Yes.
And I think that did not end up working to their advantage.
And football is so great that even without that panic mode, which, I mean, again, I'm going to reiterate, go for 2 when you need points. Go for 2.
Okay, so the situation was, if I remember correctly, it was 34-21. Correct?
Let's go back. Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah, 34-21.
Oh, if it was the 28.
Yeah, so they score with 7:23 left.
Yeah.
So it's 34-27.
Yeah.
Now, if you missed the 2-point conversion, you're still down by 7.
Yeah.
If you miss it.
So it would be still 2 scores.
But here's what could have happened in this scenario. If they go for 2 and get it, it's 34-29.
Yeah.
And then Washington next possession scores a field goal, which makes it 37-29.
Yeah.
Then they would have had 2:40 to go down the field and score a touchdown. Now they did settle for it. Texas did settle for a field goal to get it 37-31. And we'll get into the finish in just a second, but they could have had way more time down 37-29 to go for a touchdown. And I think that would have changed the way that game played out. Now, the ending. Washington got screwed. Would have gone screwed if they had lost that game because, Texas had 2 timeouts after the onside kick that failed. And Texas obviously used their timeouts. And then on third down, Johnson, their running back, got injured.
Yeah.
And
give a big break that Texas definitely was not counting, but took it.
Oh, absolutely. And, they gave them a free possession, and it just...
And the clock stopped. That's what matters.
And then on the punt was the return guy that got ran into the kick-catch interference. And it just was a stupid play. And then you can tell Washington went into prevent defense, and I hate when defense go into prevent defense because they let Quinn Ewers hit some big throws down the field. And we had a one play for it all with 5 seconds. But Washington came up, and they made the stop, and they prevented what would have been one of the most shocking ways to lose a playoff game. That could have been a program-defining moment for Washington.
If that pass of Quinn Ewers would have got it right, maybe would have stepped back the Huskies for years.
Oh, absolutely. But Washington survived. And before we get into Washington, what does this loss mean for Sark in Texas? I feel like that stadium was 80% Texas fans. I think Texas was expected to win that game by a lot of people.
The college football national championship tickets probably going to be dropped because
it was going to be in Houston.
Yeah, like there were probably Longhorn fans who were already making arrangements and stuff. Now they're not. Like the city of Houston going to lose a lot of revenue.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really big missed opportunity for Sarkisian. Because you could have had so much momentum heading to the SEC. If you had won this game, made it to the national title game before making it to the SEC, and you had somehow beaten Michigan, you were walking in with a national title into the SEC. That program could have become unstoppable. But now I think you got to rework yourself.
But do you know what I like about that? And I compare Texas to Flamingo in a sense. Both are really big brands, national brands, and they finally put to rest this Texas back kind of nonsense. Nobody is saying because they it's not like they're not back. What I'm saying is stop the stupid slang. This Texas back, when a team is back.
Right. I mean, Texas is back. I mean, they made the play.
But it's not about what. It's about this kind of it's Flamingos the smell of title. Like when they start their dynasty in 2019, they finally put to rest. So I think Texas finally put this Texas back put to rest and focusing on winning and less on logos and stuff. That makes a difference, in my opinion.
Well, and also too, you remember where that Texas is back thing happened. It happened at the Sugar Bowl when they beat Georgia.
Yeah, but a game that did not count.
Absolutely,
and Georgia was done by then.
This was a game that counted, and they couldn't get it done. And I think for Sark,
but I think with that mentality, new mentality, Texas is going to be back in the college football playoff next season. Texas is going to be back.
Yeah, well, they're going to have a much tougher road in the SEC. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And then what about Washington? Washington's not a team a lot of people think about as a college football powerhouse. And for most of their history, they've been one of the better programs on the West Coast. But I don't think if you ask people what are your top 10 programs in college football history, I don't know if many people would put Washington in their top 10.
That's fair, but I think recently, for example, Washington in the last 10 years is better than Nebraska. Mm-hmm. It's better than Tennessee.
I mean, honestly, maybe better than Texas. I mean, look, they have 18 conference titles in the Pac-10-12, and they've had 7 since 8 since 1990. So they had a great run in the 90s. Because remember, Oregon for a very long time, up until 1994, was not a very good football program. They were the primitive football program of the Pacific Northwest. Then Oregon came along in the mid-90s, and you can say for the majority of the last 30 years, Oregon's been better.
Yeah, of course, they have one of the biggest boosters in the sports kind of shoe industry.
Right.
Phil Knight.
And I think when you look at this matchup, we talk about Ohio State fans are probably sick to their stomach. And Oregon fans are probably also equally as sick.
Even more because unlike Ohio State, Oregon State does not have a conference.
Oregon, I'm talking about the Ducks.
Oh, yeah, Washington State. That means Washington State fans are probably sick to their stomach.
Yeah, but I think Oregon fans should be even sicker because Oregon had 2 chances at Washington and lost to them twice by field goal apiece.
That's fair because Ohio State lost once. Oregon lost twice.
Absolutely, and both of those teams are going to the Big Ten, and Washington's going to have momentum of being in the national title game versus Oregon.
Yeah,
heading into the Big Ten, and they're losing Bo Nix, right? I mean, Bo Nix and Michael Penix were both probably the 2 best quarterbacks in the league this year. In the country, And
one of the others should have won the Heisman. I mean, you cannot have a Heisman winner that is not even came close to getting to the big game.
Absolutely. Didn't even play in this bowl game.
Yeah,
just a wasted of a Heisman.
Yeah, such a way. He's a very, very forgettable Heisman. Nobody's going to remember of this Heisman, which is sad.
Yeah, but for Kalen DeBoer, though, I mean, what he's done, this is his second year at Washington.
What a turn of event. Yeah. Because I think I don't remember what season Washington went winningless, I want to say.
Well, that was 2008 when they had Tyrone Willingham.
Oh, but they had losing records recently.
Right, 2021 when they had Jimmy Lake.
Yeah. So and it was funny that Washington Husky fans are very thankful to Montana Grizzlies. Do you know why?
Because DeBoer coached there.
No. Because they beat Washington and got Jimmy fired.
Right.
So in a way, Washington is thankful to losing to a FCS team because they got their new coach and they're in the national championship. And they're gonna root for Montana. Which imagine if Montana and Washington win. It's the domination of the Northwest in college football. Montana and Washington. I mean, states that it's way up there in the United States. Not like California, New York, and Florida.
Right.
It's crazy to think that.
Absolutely. And I mean, this is the first non-Southern national championship since Oregon, Ohio State in 2015. And, this game's in Houston. I'll be curious what the ticket prices look like for Michigan and Washington.
Yeah, I'm even curious. I'm going to check.
At first, I just think, the Big Ten, I mean, they've been maligned for years. I make fun of the Big Ten all the time. But last night was huge.
Huge. Big.
For their conference.
Big Ten commissioner was probably celebrating his A-off after both games.
Because it was Big Ten 2, SEC none.
Yeah.
And, obviously, I think, that's the storyline. Mm-hmm. Of course, this is the swan song for the Pac-12.
Yes.
This is it. Wouldn't it be insane that at this era of college football dies, the Pac-12, which is being murdered by the modern college football landscape, gets one last middle finger saying, we are the conference of champions.
Yeah, because that's their slogan. So they are going to die holding their slogan. Like, we're the conference of
champions. I mean, this is the equivalent of jumping off a building and just everything exploding around you.
Yes. And it's like, of course, we don't like to, how can I say this without being sensitive, but, it's like an athlete dying while he was just a champion. Like, for example, driver finishes NASCAR being a champion, and then,
I think of like Dale Earnhardt. Like, he was in third place when he got wrecked and died.
Yeah.
At the Daytona 500.
Yeah, that was the closest. But, like, imagine, like, in your last race, you run the final lap, got the champion, and then go,
and then you crash.
And then pass away. Like, that's what the Pac-12 is feeling it right now.
I mean, it really is. I'm curious what those other fan bases, like the Washington State, Oregon State.
Oh, Washington State fans are like, oh my God, like, we lost. We are out of conference. We are conferences less, like, without a conference, and and they are seeing their rival going to a big conference and one game away to win the Natty. So that's probably, and tickets for the national championship is as low as $905. So probably if Texas was in, probably would have been in the $1,000 range, but still quite a bit of expensive. I'll say that. I mean, it probably would take quite a bit of money. I wonder how much you have to work in the United States. So how much is the
minimum wage? So $905. That's
so how much is the
paycheck for me?
So how much is the minimum wage now in America?
Well, minimum wage is still $7.25.
So it's $7.25. So you would have to work 124 hours to be able to just pay for the ticket to that game.
Yeah.
So
it's
I mean, in terms of the game itself, I think, as you point out perfectly, Sark went a little bit of panic mode. I think he could have been more bold. I think he should have been more bold facing such a good offense. He should have been like, that's why I was mad he didn't go for 2. Like, you have to go bold in those kind of situations. You have to take chances. If he would have missed the 2-point conversion, people on there said, like, he tried. He went too conservative. You cannot go that conservative when you are facing such a talented team as Washington.
Absolutely. And let's go into Michigan, Washington. Like, talk about the Big Ten.
But before moving, like, I want to acknowledge Laura's Nelson's husband. He's a long fan. He said, like, someone in my household was hopeful at the 1 second mark, and it's fair. I mean, at least until 1 second left, Texas had a chance. But I mean, just to wrap up this game, and the Longhorns, I think they have a great future ahead of them. I think they are coming to the SEC in their best time, because if they got into the SEC when after that season, I don't know if it was 2019 or 2020, the season where they lost to Kansas in
2021.
Yeah, imagine if they went to the SEC in 2021 after losing to Kansas. I mean, I love the University of Kansas. I've been to Lawrence. My best friend Italo graduated there. Like, Lance Leopold is doing a great job, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma is coming into the SEC after losing to Kansas.
Yeah, so that is Oklahoma right now. So Texas in a good shape. But
absolutely. But
the game on Monday.
Yeah, Michigan and Washington. Contrasting styles, right? Michigan, ground and pound, take deep shots with J.J. McCarthy, play great defense, versus Washington, explosive offense.
Yeah.
The Michigan defense versus the Washington offense is the story of the game here.
Yes. I think this matchup is going to remind me a lot of Alabama, Georgia of the 2017-2018 season. I think that's going to be it. That's because I feel like it's going to go to overtime. I'm going to bet this game is going to go to overtime.
Ooh,
I have a feeling it's going to go to overtime. I think the 60 minutes not going to be enough for those teams. It's going to go to overtime. And that is going to remind me, that national championship, I think, is going to compare to the Alabama, Georgia of 2017.
I certainly hope so, because a lot of these national championship games have not been great. Of course, last year, don't really need to talk about Georgia TCU.
I mean, at the fourth quarter, like, Georgia players were eating chicken wings.
Yeah, well, I didn't make it to halftime in that. I turned it off.
I turned it off too. Like, it's even later for me in Brazil. So since I need to catch up some sleep, I was like, okay, like, the Natty's decided, which was sad because we had such great semifinals. So let's hope it wasn't like last year that we had great semifinals and a blowout in a Natty. But I think he's not going to have that.
I don't think it's going to happen either. I think these teams are much more evenly matched up. I think Michael Penix is the best quarterback in this game, but I think Michigan has the better defense. Now, Washington's defense, we don't need to sleep on them.
Yeah.
Washington's defense has made key stops throughout this season. Yeah. They have some talent on that side of the ball, and I don't think Michigan has the most explosive offense in the world. I think they can make some big stops in this game, and I think Washington needs to focus on making at least 3 stops per half here.
Yeah,
I think that will help them. And, of course, if Penix can be as pinpoint, get that ball to Odunze, get that ball to the other big receivers on their roster, Washington wants to win this game.
Yeah, but the big question is there a player that got injured in the fourth quarter?
The running back. Yeah, and if he can't go, who's their backup?
Yeah.
Who can they run the ball on Michigan? I think they're going to struggle to run the ball on Michigan. I think Penix is going to have to win it.
Yeah, I think is Johnson's the one that...
Yeah, Johnson's the one that got hurt. He was getting carted off at the end. So I think that...
Dylan Johnson.
This game is going to come down to Michael Penix.
Yes.
And I think he is good enough to win it.
Yeah.
But if I'm a betting man, I bet against Michigan a lot this year. And I know Michigan fans probably would want me to bet against them one last time. But here, I think they're a more complete team. I think their defense will find a way, because I think against that pass rush they have, you don't want to be one-dimensional against Michigan. So, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. And I think Blake Corum is going to be able to establish a run. I think Michigan needs to establish a run here. Give McCarthy some shots downfield. I think it's going to be very close. I think Michigan will find a way. I'm going to say like 34-31.
My prediction is this game's going to go to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I think 60 minutes is not going to be enough. And then in overtime, Michigan is again is going to show why they are the best team in this playoff. And I was a believer in the Michigan Wolverines since the beginning of the season. You can go back and watch all the episodes, and I believe them again. Give me Michigan Wolverines to win it all. And finally, justice is going to be done to Jim Harbaugh. Because if there's a coach in the United States of America who did not win it all in his sport that deserves it, is Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that with all the cheating and everything.
But that's aside. I mean,
I don't know. Like
all he did in the NFL, like look what he did with the 49ers. Like,
I'm not denying he's a good coach, but still, the dude was breaking rules and probably helping other teams beat other teams.
What other coach? Do you want me to tell what this is about? Your conspiracy theory?
Yes, that they helped South Carolina beat Tennessee in 22.
Okay.
So I'm a big Huskies fan. I'm Michael Penix. Please beat Michigan.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the opposite. I'm a true believer. I like the Michigan Wolverines. I think that cheating scandal is nonsense. I think it's a conspiracy theory that was created by some Jim Harbaugh hater.
Well, probably in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, probably that's the spot. That's the spot where this whole shenanigans started, and he's gonna finally win and I think we're gonna get to the NFL later. I think it's gonna be Harbaugh and Harbaugh. I think the Harbaugh family in February is gonna have a big old party of champions with both brothers winning their respective. Because in the NFL, when they went to the Super Bowl, the house was divided. They couldn't even because imagine like your house, you go against the other. You don't want to celebrate and show off like especially when you beat your brother. You don't want to make a big party because you don't want to hey, I beat you. So, but now if both wins and the trajectory of it looks like it, I imagine the Harbaugh family is gonna go throw a hell of a party. But give me Michigan Wolverines in overtime.
Absolutely, we'll be here next week too. We'll be back in our respective hometowns to recap the national championship game. But speaking of Harbaugh being on top of the world, Michigan being on top of the world, the opposite is true for Ohio State fans. They have to be just so down bad today.
Oh my God,
they're so down bad. Ohio State, what was that?
What was it? We were trying to watch and we couldn't.
But we both fell asleep
because the game
offense was atrocious,
unwatchable. Like Ryan Day is in a hot seat because he was in a warm seat. That game put him in the
now I don't think it's true. He's 56-8 as a coach.
But Ohio State has higher standards. Like it's the program, along with what we talked about. And he losing back to Michigan and losing a game like that. How can he not be in the hot seat?
Right. And to be fair to him, he was hamstrung, right? His quarterback left, the backup gets injured. That third string quarterback clearly was not ready. But at the same time, you can make the argument, well, the third stringer has to play better.
Yeah, because he was recruited. When you recruit to play in Ohio State, there's some expectations, like in Tennessee, like in Alabama, like in Georgia.
Also, too, another thing we haven't really discussed, there's a bad taste in my mouth. Marvin Harrison Jr. Right, he has every right to opt out. He's going to be one of the top draft picks. But there's kind of an insult there for him being on the sidelines in street clothes and not helping his team win.
But then he was going to – do you know what he would have said to you?
What?
Do you know what he would say to you? Buddy, do you remember what happened to Matt Corral? I don't want to be the next Matt Corral.
Okay. That is true.
If you're
gonna opt out, don't be at the game.
Well, do you know what he would say to you? He said that. He was so you're saying that I'm choosing not to play, makes me looks bad if I want to be with my teammates supporting them.
Well, if you want to be with your teammates, play. It's a New Year's Six bowl.
But then he would have countered with, yeah, I'm gonna play, and the same thing happened with Matt Corral. He got injured, probably.
Yeah, but Matt Corral is never a top 5 pick.
But he got injured in a bowl game that probably would affect his career. He's gonna see to you that.
Well, all that's true, but still,
I'm just saying what he probably
on a night where Ohio State's offense was non-existent.
No, non-existent. Like, I'm just being the
could've
devil
changed that.
advocate. I'm just being
He could
like,
have changed that.
yeah, he definitely could.
Because, like, Ohio State was up 3-0 in the fourth quarter in this game. They had a chance to win, but Missouri, credit to them, credit to Corey Schrader, credit to
what a
Brady
great season by the Tigers. What a season by Missouri.
I will say this, though. I don't believe in them long term.
Yeah.
I think this was a one-off. I don't believe in God, what's his name? What's their coach's name? Why am I forgetting?
Yeah,
Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it was a big game, one of the biggest, probably in the last, I'll say, 15 years, probably the biggest football game they ever won.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge one for Missouri. And a great season for Missouri.
Yeah, great.
But I don't think recruiting-wise they're going to win enough. Or they're not getting a big enough recruits.
Yeah, because Texas and Oklahoma are coming to the SEC, so they're taking all the possible like recruits out of that region, like Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, like that middle of the country that want to play in the SEC.
Right. Missouri, no matter how much they try, I mean, Columbia, Missouri is not the most attractive city for the SEC. But, give them a shout out. They had a great season, but I don't think that's sustainable. But for Ryan Day, he has to beat Michigan at the bare minimum next year.
Yes, he has to.
Because Ohio State fans are going to be furious.
If he loses to Michigan again, and the game next year,
it's going to be in Columbus.
So if he loses that game, after the clock finishes 0, he loses. I would already gone to. He probably going to go to his office and clear it out because he knows he's going to get fired. He knows,
and he'll get hired immediately somewhere else. But at Ohio State, that's not good enough. Speaking of not good enough, Florida State. What was that?
I feel bad for the fans that even though it was in your state, but I mean, Tallahassee to Miami is literally north to south.
It would have been more respectable if they had just kneeled every play.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Florida State in that bowl game lost the biggest chance to make a statement. That game was about you making a middle finger to the college football playoff and kneel every chance. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, they didn't broke any rule. They didn't like they went to
Miami.
Yeah,
do all the bowl activities, then show up and lost by 60 points.
But they lost the chance, as you said, to make a statement. Would have been even bigger than any result.
But they actually tried to play the football game, and down 40 players just got absolutely demolished. And, it'll be interesting to see what kind of repercussions that has for Florida State moving forward. Because, you're going
to have the program back. That's unfortunately. Yeah, but in terms of, like, the statement, I think that first drive, I was a little bit hopeful they would have done something. And when they did it, it was like, okay, the game is over. I don't care.
Right, and Georgia cared. And you have to give credit to Georgia. Georgia could have mailed it in, too, in this game. But they came out, and it's just a signal of, like...
They made the statement that they wanted to make, which is, we're a damn football team, and we're going to annihilate you. And even though we understand that we did not deserve to be in because we lost the kind of quarterfinal game in the SEC Championship, we're still going to be a hell of you.
And Georgia, I think, would be favored against both Michigan and Washington.
Yes.
They would be. And Georgia, they're going to be sitting on that all offseason. And I'll say this, I'm not looking forward to going to Athens next year.
Yeah, but one person that I think in this offseason should be at least question his job, Mike Bobo.
Yes.
At least question him. Like, hey, you need to improve, like, buddy.
Yeah, you are the sole reason why Georgia's not playing next week.
Yeah. So the only question for Georgia is OC, Mike Bobo.
Yeah, but, a lot of people were saying after this Florida State game, is this a sign college football is broken, that we have games like this in bowl season?
No, I hate this narrative. I really hate this narrative. College football is broken. Oh, yeah, it's so broken that everybody, do you know really college football would be broken? If there was a semifinal and it would be broadcasting on ESPNU or nobody cared. How can you say college football is broken? And then both great semifinal matchups. A lot of people are talking about great bowl, Rose Bowl and Sugar Bowl. Like, great fans. Like, I hate this narrative so much. Just because your team didn't get in, college football is broken. We need to fix the system. I hate that. And we are, I guess, improving, not fixing with the 12-team college football playoff. I am sick and tired of hearing. If I had to hear one more time that college football is broken,
We're gonna explode, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I understand that. We grew up with bowl season. We grew up with conferences mattering more and everything. But it's a new college football.
Yes.
This is a new college football.
Things change. People have to understand that. Like, humanity evolves, and sports goes with that.
There's some people who would be willing to go back to the day when sports writers in a dark room chose your national championship. Like, we want to see the championships won on the field.
Yes.
And
yes.
Think about this. Do you enjoy March Madness?
Yes.
Do you enjoy March Madness? If you do, I think you'll enjoy the college football playoff.
Oh, my God. This new format. I cannot wait to watch true home games. Like, I'm more excited about the first round than the actual, like, quarters, even semifinals. Yeah. Because
then, what the playoffs are going to look like on college campuses.
Like, imagine the atmosphere. Probably, do you know what? It's a conspiracy that I'm creating. Probably you're thinking about, should I want to go top seed and lose the atmosphere? Like, there will probably be teams be hoping to be good enough seeds to host a playoff game at home. Imagine if Tennessee hosts in Neyland Stadium.
It'll be unreal.
It'll be unreal. I think the Knox County is gonna, I don't know, the influx of people, the I-40 and the I-75 are just gonna be.
It's gonna be a shutdown.
It's gonna be a shutdown.
Go through Maryville.
Like, imagine the hotels. I mean, it's gonna be people coming. Oh my God, I cannot even imagine. Shout out to my friend Daniel Fazani saying that I always do a good job, and Nick also. That's true. But just to put to rest, Nick, this college football is broken. Like,
and it was clear the committee made the right choice.
Yeah, I have to say, committee.
We got a classic Rose Bowl.
Yeah, committee. Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we got a classic Rose Bowl, and Michigan would have dog walked Florida State.
Yeah. They said, like, okay, buddies, we got 2 years of deserving with Cincinnati and TCU. Can we stop? Okay, we got the deserving out of the way. We're gonna do the best 4 teams. And I have to say it. I was a critic, but now I say they got it right.
They absolutely did.
And for Florida State fans, I mean, oh well.
Because at the end of the day, in college football, your record does not say who you are, because not all conferences remain the same. The ACC sucks.
Yeah, it's not like the NFL that you play 18 games, but you play a schedule basically with the majority of the same teams everybody
exactly.
Like, Florida State schedule is a whole different than Georgia's schedule.
Like, the 49ers being 11-3 is impressive.
Yeah,
12-4, I think is what they are. But Florida State just embarrassed themselves. And for Mike Norvell, I think he's going to have some work to do to overcome that stain. And of course, I know Florida State would have had a much better team in a playoff game than what they did, but still. Your program shouldn't be that depleted past your starters that you lose by 60.
But do you know what I was sad about Florida State? Like, they would have talked so much, but they never did an action to show their anger towards their choice. Like,
it was very cowardly.
Very coward. That's why I was disappointed at Florida State. They were cowards. So, yeah. So I don't want to hear college football is broken. That's what I had to say.
Now, another Florida State note. DJ Ugalele from Oregon State. He's going to Florida State. I mean, can he be as good as Jordan Travis there?
Oh, first of all, let's ask about himself. Like, he was supposed to be the next big Clemson quarterback, if you remember.
Right.
He was the one that took after Trevor Lawrence, right? So he was supposed to be the continuation of oh my God, he's in Cleveland now. Oh my God, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, DJ Ugalele. He clearly was not. And then he went to Oregon State because he would have more opportunities. I guess he wasn't happy enough. But I guess both ends win. Like, he gets another shot at being the starter in a really relevant program, and Florida State got an experienced quarterback to carry the program. Both win.
Absolutely. But, I mean, he's average. He reminds me a lot of Joe Milton.
Yeah.
He's very much Joe Milton.
But he can be the next Hendon Hooker where, like, he leaves Virginia Tech with...
he's going to be more Joe Milton than Hendon Hooker.
I say he can be either Hendon Hooker or Joe Milton. Like,
Now, they can win most of their games. They're going to be in a bad conference.
Yeah.
But if we think they're going to do anything in the playoffs, I think we're sadly mistaken.
Like, but do you know who's going to be really thinking about next season? The Athletic, the ACC itself. Like, are we going to get another shot? I guess they're going
to. They have to. The champion will get it. Will get a playoff.
But do you think they're going to have only one team?
I guess that's the question. What will be multi-big leagues?
Yes.
Are they going to get more than one team in there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when you have teams like California and Duke, this is the ACC schedule: at Duke, Boston College, California, Clemson, North Carolina, at Miami, at SMU. Yeah. There's maybe 2 real teams there.
And they even play Notre Dame, which is basically semi in the ACC.
Right.
So, I feel like Florida State has a lot of things to figure out this offseason. And for Georgia is only, figure out if Mike Bobo is good enough of OC. That's the only question that I have.
Right. And just some other bowl games. Hugh Freeze, I think, had a pretty disturbing quote. If you're an Auburn
very
fan.
much.
He said he didn't care about Auburn's offensive game plan. Didn't even look over it before they're trouncing by Maryland in the Music City Bowl and focused on recruiting instead.
But I think he brought up a good point, which is fair. December became a chaotic month for every college football coach with early signing day, transfer portal, and bowl games. You basically, when you get so bad as like a 5-5, 5-6, you're thinking, would I really want to win a game and go to a meaningless bowl game, or just get the 5-7, get out of the way, and focus my December on recruiting and early signing day so I can improve my team? Do you think that's going to be the question?
I think that's completely correct. I mean, 5-7 right now is better, and that's why they need to reorganize the calendar. We need the portal to happen after these bowl games.
Oh yeah, sure.
We need recruiting to happen after these bowl games.
Yes.
Early signing day has never made any sense to me.
Because for me, December is so congested, and then comes February, there's nothing college football. Why are you congested so much one month and then the rest? Because imagine if you
the NFL does this way better, right? You have the combine a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl, then you have the draft after that for a couple of weeks, and you have free agency. The NFL keeps itself relevant all year long.
Yeah, I wish the leaders of college football would take a call with, as much as he's criticized Roger Goodell. You can criticize him as much as you want, but he knows how to make his league so really relevant and playing so damn well
every single month of the year.
Yeah, that's why the NFL is king in pro leagues in the world, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
But in terms of Auburn, I guess
just a disappointing finish.
Disappointing,
right?
Very disappointing.
Lose to New Mexico State by 3 touchdowns, give up that 4 for 31 in the Iron Bowl, then get blown up by Maryland. We didn't have Tualia Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I'll say this,
a bad one.
Yeah, Auburn fans just I'm ready to move on to the next season so badly. LSU won the Relia Quest Bowl, a good game here close by in Tampa, Florida. A game that I thought at first I wish Tennessee could have gone, but I was happy to go to Orlando. But Brian Kelly, do you think he's doing a good job as?
Well, he's doing a good job with the offense.
Yeah,
their defense though is an absolute disaster.
Yes,
and I think this year especially should haunt LSU fans. You had a Heisman quarterback, and you only went to the Relia Quest Bowl.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not good enough. Hey, Liberty, man, give me Liberty or give me death or give me a blowout. Because 39-point loss to Oregon. Shout out to Oregon for taking that game seriously.
Yeah. There is a question that this bowl game is going to brought up, is that how the committee is going to select the
G5.
The G5.
Because they had a kind of a similar situation but in this time they chose the undefeated Liberty team over a one-loss SMU, even though SMU had a much better schedule and a much tougher schedule.
But this year, it was a meaningless choice. Next year,
it's going to be a much bigger choice. I think next year, you would have to choose SMU over Liberty.
Yeah.
And Liberty should have, if they had at least played better, would put themselves in a much better spot to get that G5 spot. But
so now the question is, I think this game is going to change how the committee is going to view that spot, because that's the spot, because that's the only spot that is going to be in that like different from the other 11 spots.
Right, because that one is purely which one of those G5 teams, really G6 now,
Yeah,
teams that you think are the best.
yeah. So
Clemson, Kentucky also shout out to that game. That game was nuts.
yeah, that game both teams did not want to win. I'll tell you that. Both teams wanted to lose, but I guess Clemson wanted to lose a little bit less. So
Yeah, and Miami losing to Rutgers.
but before that, like Double Sweeney celebrating that much of a bowl game, come on, what a downfall, Double Sweeney. Like, come
very
on,
much a downfall.
Like, I don't say to not celebrate, but he will celebrate as he was winning like semifinals.
Yeah, just really weird. Like Clemson, what's happened to them? Also,
they're downfall.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal losing to Rutgers. He's on the hot seat.
Oh, Mario Cristobal. I mean, he was probably, if I have an award of the worst college football coach of the year, Mario Cristobal. Like, come on, that Georgia Tech play is gonna haunt him for a long time.
Yeah,
that play is gonna be like that's the most unexplainable play in college football of the year.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's see.
Oklahoma losing to Arizona. Shout out Arizona. They may be the Big 12 favorites next year heading into that conference. They have a very strong team moving in.
Even better. Oh, yeah, that's true. They're the favorites in the Big 12.
Yeah, because, it's going to be them, Kansas State, and Utah.
TCU, maybe?
Well, they got to rebuild themselves back up.
Yeah.
But those are probably the best programs.
Yeah.
Maybe them in, like, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, maybe.
Or Kansas. Don't take Kansas out.
And then, like, the UCFs and Cincinnati's get up to speed, too.
Yeah.
Big 12 will still be pretty good. They're probably going to be the third best conference.
Yeah, but one program that I'll be watching out, Kansas. They got a really good win over a UNLV team, 9-4. Like, Lance Leopold inherited Kansas Jayhawks 0-12 with Les Miles. He was brought up to be the savior, and Les Miles left the program winningless, and now they're 9-4, and they're comparing this era, the same era that Kansas got it in 2007. They were really close to play to the national championship.
Yeah, in this era, as you said, if you can win the conference title, you will be in the playoffs. So for Kansas, I think that'll be
and shout out Jason Beam as well, 6 touchdowns. I think he can be a good quarterback.
Also, too, Ole Miss beating Penn State in the Peach Bowl. Ole Miss with a lot of transfers coming in, they're going to be a very hyped team next year. And I think they have a legit shot at the playoff if they can keep themselves straight, because I think they're bringing in a lot of characters that have some character issues, and they have Lane Kiffin as their coach.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, why they're bringing those players. Look at their coach. Like, Lane Kiffin is, he is such a character. Like, it's so fun to have Lane Kiffin. You can love him or hate him, but it's so good to have him.
They're going to be one of the most entertaining teams to watch next year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Will it work? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I think shout out SMU that we mentioned. Like,
they lost to Boston College. So there really were no great G5 teams.
But SMU play on the road because this was on Fenway. Yeah, Boston College and Fenway.
Boston College has no fans though.
But it was. But I know. But I'll say this: like, the only excuse, like, SMU played a road game.
Yeah, and also Oregon State. You just got to feel bad for them going out sad, 40-8. And now they are in the throes of irrelevancy.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Just bad, but yeah. So that was college football bowl season, and we have one game left.
Yes,
the national championship game in Houston, Michigan, Washington. We both picked in the Wolverines to win. Also, FCS. Let's talk about the FCS real quick. Montana and South Dakota State.
Go Grizzlies! My uncle's alma mater.
Yeah, I will say this. I think South Dakota State will win. I think they have been the best team in FCS all season. And, Montana's had to win some really close games. So I think
I believe in Montana. My uncle is also not very confident. I'll give Montana. I think they're going to upset. Give me the Grizzlies.
That would be cool. I am going to take the Jackrabbits to win it. But anyway, so that's some college football.
A lot of talk about college football. Wow.
Absolutely. All right, some quick college basketball notes, just real fast. Basketball is now number 5 in the country. They beat Norfolk State last night by 30.
Yeah, it's just nothing happening more like, shout out Vescovi.
Yeah, Santiago Vescovi just hit his 300 3-pointers. So
yeah, so he was
up to him.
He's very impressive. My South American buddy.
Absolutely. But But they have a big game Saturday. First SEC game against undefeated number 22 Ole Miss.
If the weather was okay, maybe you would have been there because of a nice game.
Yeah, but I do think that Tennessee will win this game. I don't think Ole Miss has really played many great teams. Their best one is Memphis.
I mean, but we saw analysts on TV praising so much the undefeated Ole Miss.
Absolutely. I think Tennessee will have a chip on their shoulder. I think TBA will be rocking, and I think they will defend the home floor.
Yeah. Another interesting point at college basketball, and this game, even us, when we found out, we regret not going, right?
Absolutely, right? An hour away in Fort Myers. Number 7 FAU last week lost to Florida Gulf Coast, Dunk City fan when they beat Georgetown back in 2012.
Yeah.
So Florida Atlantic winning lost that game, so they're now number 17. They survived East Carolina last night. Still, though, I think they will be a very dangerous team in March, despite that upset.
Yeah.
And shout out to the Grambling State women's team. They won a game last night by 141 points.
I want to get the name right of the team because I just couldn't believe the name of the team they beat. Let me get this straight because it was a College of Bible. Like, I just couldn't believe there was a team.
Yeah, you have to question why Grambling's even playing this team.
Yeah, Grambling State women's basketball. CB College of College. Oh my god!
I think they're a team out of Texas.
Yeah. College of Biblical Studies.
Yeah,
College of Biblical Studies. So definitely they're more focused on the religious side than
they
sports.
play in the D2 National Christian College Athletic Association. It sounds like a very small school.
Yeah.
I don't know why Grambling's playing a team like this. That type of game doesn't help.
Yeah. But anyway, great win.
Absolutely. Now, it's time to talk some NFL because we're
National Football League.
We're heading into the last week of the season, and man, the biggest story of the week was Lions Cowboys.
Wow, what a crazy ending! I'll tell you.
First and foremost, man, these coaches in this game, I don't know what Dan Campbell and Mike McCarthy were doing. First and foremost, early on, down 7-3 in the second quarter, and you're at 4th and goal from like your 5. Why is Detroit going for it?
Why?
Take the points.
Yes,
take the freaking points. You don't know when you need those points later. Then
that's a good situation to take the points, not to go bold, unlike Sark.
Yeah. And then later in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys have the ball with 2 minutes left. The Lions had, I think, 1 timeout left. Why in the world did the Cowboys call 3 pass plays in a row, including one that was incomplete and saved 40 seconds for Detroit? What in the world is Mike McCarthy doing?
Yeah, I guess it's going to be like the Cowboys. It feels like, when you play a record and it keeps on the same tune, tune. Cowboys feels like the same tune. They have a good regular season. They might win the division or might be in the wild card. But then you go to the divisional round, lose on the road, and then bye-bye season. That's the tune time after time after time.
Time after time.
Yeah,
like that song. Yeah.
But no, it's so on repeat. And I think that's going to be the same destiny. I feel Cowboy fans, I wouldn't be optimistic about the postseason, unfortunately.
No, because their coaches are idiots. But then the Lions, they get the ball back and they go down the field and score a touchdown. So then here's where it gets crazy. The Lions go for 2, and I honestly think initially it's the right decision.
Yeah.
Because they had momentum at that moment, and you're on the road. So go ahead and steal a win. And they call a great play to the offensive lineman, number 68, and it was good. Like they had gotten it, and it looked like the Lions were going to win. But then the ref comes out and says it was illegal catch interference.
Oh, my. Yeah, and Dan Campbell was not happy about it. I even want to put what he said. I'm going to find the link. I'll send and while I found out, that's fair, what in the world was that?
I mean, the whole situation is the ref apparently misheard.
The
Lions. They thought number 70 was supposed to be the eligible receiver, not 68.
Yeah.
And they were confused.
They were very confused. But clearly the guy was passing by the ref, clearly.
Yeah, so I could see how they would make that mistake, but you have to stop and double check.
Yeah.
You're the ref. You are a National Football League ref.
Yeah, like you're a pro ref, unlike
Like,
college.
you cannot make a mistake like that in that type of game. That will change the playoff seeding.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to put the clip of Dan Campbell talking after the game because he was not happy about it. So let's hear what Dan Campbell had to say about it.
On the wire, and thought our defense played
You
really
want
well
to
today.
like,
-1 play
are you okay?
that was in our hands.
Go. That's why I put the press conference.
But we were there to make a play. We didn't. And but other than that, I thought we did some really, really good things. Got off the field, got a takeaway, offense, 141 on the clock, no timeouts, linked in the field, score, and go for 2. We get it, and we get an L. So it's probably the way the guys fought. We just made too many critical errors there to where it shouldn't have come down there at the end. Look, credit to them. They played hard. We knew they would. They'd give us their best shot, and they play well at home. They did again. And we'll see them in a couple of weeks. Be good. 70 reported. Yeah, the explanation was 70 reported. Yes.
And do they need to announce that if both players report?
2 people can't report. I don't want to talk about it. All right. I explain everything pregame to a T. Okay, I did that. 70 reported, 58 didn't, or 68 didn't. We threw it to 68. That was the explanation.
Can you just explain the mentality to go for 2 there at the end? Obviously, you wanted to keep the game in your hand and try to win it.
I told the offense that we were going down 141 left. We're going to go down and score, and then we're going to go for 2 and finish this game out. I told them that, and so that's what we were doing.
And being backed up, that didn't change anything when you get backed up to the
Backed
7
up where?
To the 7 instead of the 2 from the 2-point play. Did you think at all?
We were going for the win.
The last 2-point play, what happened on that? Should James have caught that pass? What happened on that play exactly from your point of view?
We didn't connect.
Well,
I thought it just started. My bad.
CD Lamb, just the game that he had against you guys today.
He's a good player. We tried to double him some, but we also wanted to pressure. When you pressure, we got to be able to hold up. And you get isolated, get some one-on-ones. He's a good player. We know that, but I thought we had the right balance. He's tough to contain. He's tough. But I thought our defense played pretty damn good today.
We can see the
And that was Dan Campbell after the game, praising his defense, but he was very mad of the ref. He was very, very,
that's
very
a game
mad.
where they could have won the 1 seed, right? Because they would still have a shot at it this week if they had won that game. So I don't fault him at all for being upset in that moment. And they deserve to win that game.
Yeah.
And maybe there's an argument that Goodell should have retroactively changed the result. Because he can. That's in the rule book. But at the same time, the Cowboys would then have to get 2 plays afterwards to see if they would have gotten a miracle victory.
But he definitely didn't want to talk about it. He was very frustrated with definitely. But then, if you feel that the refs are not with you, take the extra point and go to overtime. Don't try to be a stubborn and try to keep running 2-point conversions. And the momentum was against that.
Right. So, Cowboys, they do get a chance now to win the NFC East this week.
Yeah, oh my God.
They
and because of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles straight choked.
I believe no Cowboys fans thought the Eagles would have lose against the Arizona Cardinals.
No. Just one of the worst losses you can take in that scenario if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And really, honestly, if you look at that team right now, they're a shell of their former selves. You can tell they're missing the coordinators from last year. Shane Steichen with the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Gannon with the Cardinals. So their former DC came in and beat them in Philadelphia. And right now, they do not look like a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, it doesn't. They look very shallow of what they probably were in the beginning of the season.
Yes. But because of that loss, too, the San Francisco 49ers locked up a 1 seed. Additionally, the Baltimore Ravens, they embarrassed Miami 56-19.
Yeah.
And they also locked up the 1 seed. So the 49ers and the Ravens are both your 1 seeds. They will both get a bye.
Oh, my. Are they going to have a rematch of that 2013 Super Bowl and a rematch of
the Christmas Day?
Yeah, the Christmas Day. Like, I think that, oh, my God, it's going to be a classic.
Oh, it absolutely would be. I guess the question for both of those teams is, do you rest your players this week? Or do you kind of like, what I would do it like a preseason game.
Yeah.
I would like play them for like a quarter and then get them out.
No, I would have played no quarters. Like, in the NFL, you cannot take risks. Like, imagine you got a player injured. Like, you just cannot take risks. Like, if NBA players have low management for games that matter, in the NFL, when there's a game that you don't have to win it, you already locked in, why will you play your players? Like, imagine an NBA player. Imagine asking an NBA player that. He would answer, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy how the NBA and the NFL divert on that. Like, we're here asking, are they going to rest starters?
Because, it's like what we talked about in baseball, right? Like, that break you get ruins, like, the top 2 seeds in each league. And there's an argument that the break does not help the 1 seeds in either conference either.
Yeah.
So, because we saw that with the Titans and the Packers a few years ago when they got their 1 seeds, and they didn't win their first round playoff games.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But speaking of the Dolphins, though,
once
again, they just can't beat good teams.
I think
outside of the Cowboys at home.
For me, the Dolphins are just the Dolphins are just the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC. Right. Their record doesn't reflect that how inconsistent they are. So both Dallas and Miami are going to be booted out in the playoffs.
Absolutely,
that's something I'm a sure bet.
And I think
Miami and Dallas are going to be booted out.
And I think Tua is very much like Dak. I don't think he will ever win anything.
Yeah, I think both are good-ish. Like, both are give a B-. Both.
Yeah, and they're carried by the supporting cast.
Yes. Very much.
Yeah. Of course, the Chiefs also, they won the AFC West, but they still don't look like
great. I mean, they won the AFC West because Joe Burrow got injured. If Joe Burrow was healthy, they definitely would have not win the division because they would have lose that Bengals game.
And plus, the Broncos are just a mess right now.
Yeah, they got lucky that the division is a tire fire with the Broncos. I mean,
the Chargers are injured to heck.
Yeah, and the Raiders are a mess as well. But let's go back to the Bucs a little bit. I mean, this Broncos situation is just so amateur, amateur. Dealing with a player, they went out of the way to get it, trading a heck of pieces, a heck of draft, multi-million-dollar contract, and then you bench him, and then you're gonna release him like that.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't make any sense.
Like, I'm not saying Russell Wilson is great, like, opposite, but, like, I don't know, like, this situation is just a mess. That's why Kansas City won the division, because they are in a messy division, and I guess they're the okay team that is not in a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I still don't know if they are truly a Super Bowl contender themselves.
No.
And then here in Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers, they got blown out by the Saints.
Yeah, we thought about going to this game. It was $100, and I imagine Buc fans that played $100 to watch that game. They
are pretty mad.
Pretty mad.
But Saints LSU fans, though, they had a great weekend.
Oh yeah, that's true. Imagine that's true. That's Louisiana football fans that came to Tampa had a blast. I'll say that.
Absolutely. So the playoff picture.
Ooh, what a playoff picture! I mean, first of all, I think definitely the number 1 seeds are both in good hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're both wrapped up.
Yeah, both the Niners and the Ravens deserve to be the 1 seed.
Yeah.
But the rest, I mean, let's go to the AFC. I have that here. So, Dolphins number 2. I can see that. See that.
Okay, KC number 3 right now.
Yeah. I mean,
of course, the Browns already have locked up their spot at number 5.
But number 4, Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, that number 4 is up in the air because of Jacksonville incompetence.
Yeah. So, and Jacksonville has to beat the Titans on Sunday to win. If they lose, then the winner of Indianapolis and Houston will win.
So you, as a Titans fan, Nick, how disappointed are you that the Titans are not good enough to be at least competitive in this messy division?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised that we aren't. I mean, we're just a really bad football team right now. It would be funny to ruin Jacksonville's season.
So that's the question I was going to ask you as a Titans fan. Would you put the starters? Would my Virgos put the starters, and you're going to root to ruin your divisional rival season?
I mean, either way, it's a good result. Either we lose and get a higher draft pick, or we ruin Jacksonville's season.
There's a win-win situation for the Titans, I guess.
Yeah. But
number 6, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and they're in a situation where if they beat Miami, they go to the AFC. They win the AFC East.
So that's interesting. How they can go from number 6 to number 2, and there's a real possibility of that.
Yes.
So how crazy this last week of and they're gonna play on the Sunday Night Football. So when Buffalo Bills take the field, he knows he's gonna be number 6 or number 2 because then KC already be played.
Yeah, but if they lose, they have a chance of missing the postseason.
So that's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying. Like Buffalo Bills situation, they're gonna go get the field, knowing exactly what to do to be the number 2 seed or be out. Like think about that. Buffalo Bills has like they're not gonna. So probably the Buffalo Bills are not gonna stay at number 6 seed. They're gonna be number 3 or 2, or they're gonna be out.
Exactly.
That's the crazy scenario.
And of course, Pittsburgh, they play Saturday afternoon. They have to win and then hope. I believe it would be, and then they would need the Bills to lose.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's. I mean, how funny is the Steelers getting to the post? I mean, again, another year of a winning record for Mike Tomlin.
And
Congratulations!
For Pittsburgh, they have a real possibility because the Ravens are probably going to be resting.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying in a sarcastic way because that's what Steelers fans care. Yeah. Like Mike Tomlin getting a winning season again.
It's like going to a bowl game.
Yeah, congratulations, because that's the narrative. Oh, Mike Tomlin never had a losing season. Congratulations, because that's the standard for the Steelers now. They only care about that.
Absolutely. So down in the NFC, of course, San Francisco's number 1.
But I think we still have the 7th seed still in the AFC for grabs, and they're going to play on Saturday, I believe.
Houston, Indianapolis. Whoever wins, that game is in. And then they could win the division if Jacksonville loses.
So, who do you think is going to come? I think...
Well, we're going to pick our games here soon.
Yeah, that's true.
So, National Football. So, in the NFC, of course, San Francisco's 1. Right now, Dallas holds a tiebreaker over Philly.
Wow, that's crazy.
Dallas wins.
How devastating that loss of Arizona was. Like look how devastating that game was.
Yes. And now for Detroit, if Dallas and Philly both lose, then they would get the 2 seed, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
And of course, then we have the NFC South race, which basically, if Tampa Bay beats Carolina, they'll win the division. If they lose, then the winner of Atlanta or New Orleans will win a division.
Like, I imagine for Tampa Bay Bucks fans, losing that game would have been the most humiliating thing ever. Because that Carolina team was awful. And if they lose, they're out because, Atlanta and New Orleans are going to play and whoever wins get in.
Right.
So if I am Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan and they will lose the game, I would have created an event called Protest. I would encourage you to protest Brazil way because that's unacceptable. Tampa Bay has to be in.
Yes.
They lost so many chances.
I mean, people will get fired if they lose that game.
Oh, yeah. For Todd Bowles, he will be fired.
Of course, in the wild card, we have Philadelphia. Of course, we talked about the NFC East. The Rams, congratulations to the Rams. They're 6 seed, and I think they are playing really good football.
And I don't want to face the Rams right now. That's the team I don't want to face in the playoffs, for sure.
And then the 7th seed is up for grabs. We have the
Green Bay Packers of all teams. Green Bay Packers being the who would have thought? Like no Packer fan thought they would have come up this season with Jordan Love, first year starter. Like that's impressive.
Absolutely, and they are winning against the Chicago Bears. If they lose, then Seattle would be next up. I believe they play Arizona on Sunday, but
And even the Vikings have a chance still, even though probably that
That's
was
a long shot.
It's so funny that the Atlanta Falcons are in the the position number 12 out of 16 teams in the NFC, and they still have a chance to go to the playoffs. That's crazy.
All right. So let's pick these games.
Let's go.
All right. So first on Saturday, first game, Steelers at Ravens.
Steelers, the Ravens are going to rest all their
Yeah.
players, and they'll have nothing to play for. And just ESPN got unlucky. That was a very shitty game for a network that pays.
I'm not sure why they chose that one.
Yeah, a network that pays so much money, in this do or die game. Give me the Steelers.
Yeah, I'll take the Steelers as well. Saturday night in Indianapolis, Texans Colts, winner in, loser out.
Give me Indianapolis Colts for honoring Jason Warwick and his grandpa.
Yeah, I hope they win for them. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to have to take Houston because I think CJ Stroud, and they'll find a way to get it done.
I'll have to give I have a feeling that Colts are going to win in some miraculous way or something divine. And
if they do, it's divine intervention.
Yes. And who's from.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope the Colts win, but I am going to take the Texans. All right, 1 p.m. Jaguars at the Titans. Do the Jags win a division?
No. Give me the Tennessee Titans. They don't deserve to be in. Give me Tennessee Titans.
I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to take Jacksonville. I think we're not going to have Will Levis. I think the team is just a mess right now. I'm going to take the Jags.
Interesting. $18 for that game? Wow, I would have definitely gone. Because even though they're eliminated, you're still part of the race. I would have gone just to root against Jacksonville because they don't deserve to be in. Give me Tennessee Titans.
All right. We have the 11-5 Browns and the 8-8 Bengals who've been eliminated. But I really don't know how relevant this game is really for either team. I'll take the Bengals.
I'll take the Browns. I bet that's just true. I'll take the Bengals. It's a good buy.
Because the Browns might rest. If I'm the Browns, I rest.
Yeah, if I'm the Browns, I rest. Even the Bengals, I rest because they're thinking about 2024. Who in his right mind is going to pay $53 for a glorified scrimmage? Yeah. It's a glorified scrimmage.
Exactly.
So give me, in this glorified scrimmage, give me the Bengals.
All right, the Vikings at the Lions. I think the Lions will get it done.
Yeah, because the Lions have to do their part to get the number 2 seed. Give me Detroit Lions.
All right, in a game no one will watch, 6-10 Jets at 4-12 Patriots.
If Browns and Bengals are a glorified scream, this is an unglorified scrimmage. Give me the New York Jets because at least the Jets can pride themselves to be ahead of Patriots in the AFC East after being behind them so many years.
I'll take the Patriots actually in this one.
I'll take the Jets, and I think that's going to be the final game for Bill Belichick. I have a feeling.
All right, and I agree. I think Bill Belichick will move on.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 p.m. in New Orleans. Falcons Saints.
First of all, how can this game is $25? If I'm a diehard Saints fan, I have to be there because I don't care. I have to believe that Tampa Bay is going to screw up, and they've been screwed up so much this season. If I'm a Saints fan, I would have definitely paid those $25 and get in because I have to be hopeful. Right. Give me the Saints.
I agree. Give me the Saints as well. And then Carolina to wrap up the NFC South. Do the Bucs win the NFC South?
First of all, if I'm a Bucs fan, it's considered worth to go to Charlotte because tickets as low as $14. I'm probably going to get down. I don't know. Do you think this game is not going to get to the below $1?
45 cents.
Yeah, but probably $2, I believe. But give me the Panthers.
I'm going to take the Bucs. I'll take the Bucs.
Yeah.
The Bucs win the NFC South, in my opinion. All right, Bears-Packers, 425. Do the Packers clinch their playoff spot?
First of all, it's so funny how in Charlotte, it's a game that has playoff implication for $14, and in Green Bay, it's $116.
Yeah, well, shows you the difference in fan bases.
Yeah, but the Packers, they're going to get the job done. And it's a critical game for Jordan Love because he's in the same spot as Aaron Rodgers was last year. Home game, must win, get into the playoffs like they were last season. So if Jordan Love get it done, they're going to be like, hey, he got something done that Aaron Rodgers couldn't get done last year. So give me the Packers.
Absolutely, I agree. Give me the Packers as well.
And also, if the Bears win this game, they're gonna have the same records as the Packers with all their turmoil. But I think still give me the Packers.
Yeah, the Broncos still have an outside shot at 8-8 going to the Sunday Night Raiders, but I think the Raiders will knock them out.
Good God! I mean, the Broncos cannot be in the playoffs after the debacle of a season they had from beginning. Like the middle was goodish, but the beginning and now this end is just sad. Give me the Raiders. I mean, Broncos. I mean, good God, move from 2024 and figure out your quarterback situation.
All right. NFC East now. 11-5 Eagles to 5-11 Giants, so the Eagles win.
I don't know. We all thought about that last week. We all thought about, they got to get done against Arizona at home.
And they almost lost to the Giants last week, too, on Christmas Day. I do think that the Eagles, hopefully they'll wake up now, and I think they'll get this one done.
Give me the Giants. I think Tony DeVito is going to have a good game. Give me.
Wow, so you have the Cowboys winning anyway. So Cowboys Commanders. This is a road game they can win.
Oh, yeah. It's a road game they can win. Dallas is going to secure their number, I believe, 2 seed if they win. So they're going to secure their number 2 seed. No brainer. Give me the Cowboys.
All right. Seahawks, Cardinals. Of course, with the Packers winning, that pretty much knocks the Seahawks out. But I still think the Seahawks will go and win.
I think the Seahawks have to do their part. They have to do their part. They'll be like, we won. Like for example, the Lions. That's why the Lions, remember how the Lions last year, they did their part. If the Rams would have got done in the overtime last season against the Seahawks, the Lions would have got in.
Yeah.
So you have to do their part. You don't know what last week, gets you. Right. So give me Seahawks.
Absolutely.
And for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, he's been improving week by week. That's the optimist side of things for Arizona fans. Kyler Murray's been playing good.
Yes. Of course, we have Chiefs at Chargers. I don't think the Chiefs are really going to play their starters here. But I still don't think the Chiefs will win.
Give me Chiefs. I mean, the Chargers, good God. Just find a new head coach, which is not Brandon Staley, thank God. And
go to Houston, and after Michigan wins the national championship, convince Jim Harbaugh to leave.
If I'm a Chargers front office, instead of being in SoFi Stadium on Sunday, I would get a flight to Houston and just stay outside the stadium waiting for the game to be done.
And then a bag of money.
Just a bag of money. Say, hey, Jabba, take the money. Just take it. No pressure.
Absolutely. We have Rams at 49ers. Niners, I think, will be resting. But I think the Rams may also be resting. So
I don't know. McVay, Shanahan, they don't like to lose against each other.
Honestly, I think the Rams win here.
McVay dominates the series. Give me Rams.
And then Sunday night for the AFC East, Bills, Dolphins.
First of all, I love the NFL got the Sunday night game right. They're finishing the regular season with the best game of playoff implications. They got it right. Like we bashed so much about the choosing the primetime games. They got it right.
Right. I'm gonna go Buffalo.
I'm gonna go Buffalo. Miami's falling apart.
All right. So let me think about my playoffs here. So
with mine, I have the Arabians don't matter. So I have the Dolphins win. I have the Dolphins losing. So then Buffalo goes to number 3 because I have Kansas City winning.
No, they would get 2. They beat Kansas City head to head.
Oh, so I get Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City.
And then I would have Jacksonville at 4.
I have the Colts.
You would have Indianapolis.
I have the Indianapolis Colts at 4, Browns at 5, then Miami at 6.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be the Browns or the Dolphins at 6.
Oh, that's 5. True. Oh, that's true. Because if the Browns win, Miami. I have Miami, and then number 7, Jacksonville, right? Or
actually, did you have Pittsburgh winning?
Yeah, Pittsburgh winning.
It'd be Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Wow. And then the matchups is going to...
For me, it would be... I'm pretty sure it would end up being Cleveland, Miami, Cleveland, and Indianapolis. Or Houston. So I would have Houston at Buffalo. I would have... I think Cleveland at Kansas City. And I would have Miami at Jacksonville.
I wish I wish you could find a place where you can simulate games to see like.
Yeah.
But
And then on yours, you would have Pittsburgh at Buffalo.
Pittsburgh, what a matchup!
You would have
Kansas City,
Cleveland at Kansas City, and you would have Miami at Indianapolis.
good matchups. I'll take those.
All right, in the NFC, you would have
Dallas.
we would both have Dallas at 2.
Yeah.
We would have the Lions at 3.
Dallas at Green Bay. Ooh.
I would have Tampa at 4. You would have the Saints at 4.
Yeah. But Dallas.
Philly at 5. Rams at 6. And then Green Bay at 7.
So Dallas, Green Bay, what a matchup! Last time Green Bay went to AT&T Stadium,
They broke their hearts.
So can the Dallas finally overcome Green Bay?
And we would get Rams Lions, which would be electric.
Oh my God, Rams, Lions, the narratives. Matthew Stafford coming back to Detroit the first time, and Jared Goff against Sean McVay. So many storylines.
Absolutely. And then we have Philadelphia at Tampa.
I have
Bay.
Philadelphia at Saints. I think the Saints gonna get done. You'll see.
Absolutely. So, anyway, we'll see what happens in NFL Week 18.
Yeah.
One other quick note: the Panthers owner David Tepper, what is he doing? Why is he dumping water on fans after the loss of Jacksonville?
I think he wants to be the new. What is his?
Donald Sterling.
No, the other one from Washington.
Dan Snyder.
He wants to be the new Dan Snyder.
Yeah. And then one more football note, pro football note. Spring football, the USFL and XFL have merged into the UFL.
Yeah.
But will it be successful? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I feel like it's up for grabs. I mean, the shot was in the 80s. And ironically, Donald Trump ruined a chance of spring football being relevant.
Absolutely.
And as much as you like him or hate him in terms of politics, in terms of spring football, he was detrimental to spring football. But hopefully Vince McMahon can bring it back with this merger.
Absolutely. To me, I mean, we'll have the Birmingham Stallions and Memphis.
Yeah.
Really close by in Chattanooga.
And speaking of Memphis, I asked my friend Lucas Ardito to top me off with some NBA because, to be honest, I have not watched NBA. I'm being honest. And he said that Ja Morant, he used his word, humiliated Wemby. He
Doesn't surprise me.
Because especially dunking all over him. So what a win. I mean, Ja Morant, I guess sometimes you have bad things that help you. I guess his suspension really brought him back. And,
Absolutely.
the Grizzlies, I think they're going to get in the playoffs somehow.
Me too. I absolutely agree. Of course, LeBron had a tough loss the other night with the Lakers at Minnesota. Had a 3, but it got changed to a 2. Really tough one.
Yeah.
Real shout out to my Braves. They just got Chris Sale in a trade from the Red Sox. We visited the minor league stadium, or the spring training stadium, last night.
Yeah, the Cool Today Park. Nice stadium, by the way.
Very nice
stadium.
And quick hockey note, Seattle Kraken wins the Winter Classic 3-0 over Vegas. But I think that's a wrap on our in-person lake behind us view.
Wow, what
the best view we will ever have for a podcast episode.
Yeah,
I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
I mean, Nicholas Hill, I appreciate that you came here to Florida.
Absolutely.
To be with me.
Yep, it has been an absolute blast down here in Florida. I'll be heading home tomorrow. He's heading home Friday to Americana. But we are going to continue this podcast because this is the only podcast that talks about Brazilian and American sports.
I mean, we're going to year 4, 2021, 22, 23,
and
year 4 of this pod. Crazy.
But this has been episode 11. This has been episode 111 of Two Countries, All Sports. Gustavo Tomazeli, Nicholas Hill from NOKOMIS, Florida. We hope you all have a great 2024.
Feliz Ano Novo. Happy New Year.
New Year.